AI Audiobooks presents The Night King Who Returned with a God by Sarum Saleo, chapters 34 through 45. Chapter 34, Army Training Manual. Leon intended to revive the Holy Knights, but he knew that finding Holy Knights in this day and age was no easy task. Yuk-Spinner was a rare exception, but more importantly, the Holy Knights needed soldiers to support them. It was for this reason that Leon scraped together a group of low-level hunters, including the Old Day. They would be armed with spears and shields and come an iron wall of support for the knights. I wouldn't say they're underwhelming, but just okay. Well, they're hunters, so they have good basic physical strength, right? Ree didn't know what Leon's world was like, but generally speaking, hunters, despite their low rank, were extremely talented soldiers. Look at them. They've just dealt with 4,000 orcs that were all dying, and they look so tired and exhausted. What? Ree didn't immediately understand what Leon was talking about. Even if most of them had been irradiated to death, there were still over 1,000 orcs left. Even if they were sick orcs, shouldn't they be exhausted from running around trying to catch them? I don't want to give regular warriors the rank of knight. However, they are superhumans in their own world. They are, aren't they? Then they should be at least on the level of this king and bringers. I don't want them to be Elderic Master Guards or Rohana's Divine Watchers. But even with the protection of Lionheart, they're not even on par with the Baltaric Orc Crushers. Your Majesty, I have no idea what you're talking about. Leon realized he had said something Ree would not understand, but even so, he couldn't help but compare the hunters with the soldiers he had shared honor with. To put it simply, the Baltaric Orc Crushers could take on 5 orcs alone, 10 if the War Knights were present, and with this king, they could slaughter 30. That's not a knight. Orcs are the most difficult and powerful monsters in the Gate. Aside from the medium and large monsters, a high-level warrior can take on even a B-ranked hunter 1-on-1. They could slaughter 30 of them, and they're not a knight. Even Rai couldn't handle 30 orcs by herself. What kind of existence is a knight in your Majesty's world? I'd say you're about the level of a squire. Rai was stunned. Even though she was young, she, the youngest A-rank hunter, was only at the level of a squire. There were only 3 knight ranks in Leon's system right now: Squire, Apprentice Knight, and Holy Knight. Ree realized that Leon's standards were vastly higher than even the hunters of modern Earth. If Lord Yappy is a Holy Knight, are you saying that all Holy Knights are above S-class hunters? If Leon's Holy Knights were to revive in the modern era, wouldn't that be a cataclysmic event that would upset the balance of military power in the world? For now, we should at least raise their level to that of professional soldiers. How will you do that? What is the training method of King Lionheart? Would they be able to undergo such training? At Ree's expectant gaze, Leon said nonchalantly. Physical training. Ku Day, Sung, team leader Kim Do-han, and 49 other hunters gathered at a makeshift training center in the Naju Plains. Wow, they paid so much for the training. That's right, we don't have to worry about making ends meet for a while. Even when they were told to train, they couldn't help but come back because they felt the same exhilaration they felt at the Orc Gate and actually felt stronger. All the buffs of Lionheart and of Orc Butcher, plus they got the Orc Hunter talent and the War Knight's Man at arms talent, so they can't help it. The Orc Hunter buff was only available when fighting orcs, and the War Knight's Man at arms buff was only available when fighting with Leon. Besides, it would be better for their future if they were paid to come here for training than to be a porter at the gate. By the way, Mr. Ku, what's wrong with your face and your lips? As team leader Kim Do, Han said, Ku Dai, Sung's face was all over the place. Did you participate in a gate raid? Yes. My body was tired, so I went to the Blue Gate. After the battle at the Yellow Gate with Leon, Ku De, Sung felt an unknown sense of exaltation and omnipotence. He wondered if he had really gotten stronger, and if he could fight better than usual, so he joined the Blue Gate raid as a party member. It was a goblin hunt, but he wasn't as strong or fast as he had been at the Orc Gate, and he returned home battered by the goblins' crude clubs. "You're going to hurt yourself, boy. You need to tone it down." "Yes." "Ha!" Ree shouted as loudly as she could as she entered the hall. His Majesty, Leon Dragonia Lionheart, and his Holy Knight, Sir Yacht Spinner, please enter. At those words, everyone stopped dead in their tracks, and at Leon's mere appearance, they stopped as if they were a single unit. "Congratulations on passing the simple test. You're not quite good enough to enter the gates of this king, but that's something we can work on." The Orc Gate was a simple test. They've cleared the Orc Gate, a yellow rank gate, even as low rank hunters. If it wasn't for Leon, who couldn't tolerate the very existence of orcs, turning the entire group of over 4,000 orcs against them, they wouldn't have killed so many orcs to receive the talent Orc Hunter. As I watched you fight, I saw a number of problems, but the most important was your bodies. The hunters didn't take too kindly to that, and rightly so, since hunters vary tremendously in physicality depending on their rank. Right now, a C rank hunter is stronger than 3D rank hunters, and the difference grows exponentially with each rank. It would be possible for Han-Ha, Ree to kill all of us by herself. Han-Ha, Ree, the youngest A rank hunter in the country, could kill all the hunters in this room with her physical strength alone, and with her unique skill, Blessing of Fire, the difference would only increase. We've decided to start with your training. From now on, you will be thoroughly trained according to the Lionheart Kingdom Army Training Manual. Regular military training? Medieval military training? Well, it shouldn't be that hard. They were hunters, and whether they were working as porters in the field or training to become advanced hunters, it's not a profession that lacks discipline. But their limits were clear. They could never fly, and they could only remain low-rank hunters. They didn't think a little training from the Lionheart King of a medieval fantasy kingdom was going to change that. So much distrust, but I understand. Ku De. Sung raised his hand cautiously. Leon saw it and authorized him to speak. Your Majesty, how do you propose to? I think you need to train your body. Something like muscle training. What is the principle of muscle training? Ku De. Sung thought for a moment before answering. The organs of the body have something called a repair mechanism. Right. Overloading the body and stretching its limits. Everything in the world grows that way. It was the most basic methodology of training. Activate the muscles and overload them again and again and again as they go through periods of regeneration and rest. Sir Gratos, the Holy Knight Giant Slayer, the creator of the Army Training Manual, once said, "The more you beat a man, the stronger and harder he becomes." That's a great quote. What? People aren't railroads, so how can they get harder by being beaten? Then how should the professional soldiers who defend the kingdom be trained? Obviously, they must be trained differently than peasants, and Lord Gratas has come up with the following suggestions for the most efficient training. Leon's cheerful voice filled the hunters with anxiety. We will tear them apart, pound them, and rebuild them. Not only will their torn and regenerated muscles be stronger, but they'll also have increased strength to take more hits. What? Ku De. Sung and the other hunters stared at Leon in disbelief. From now on, pound each other like you're going to kill each other until every muscle in your body is torn and your fists are shredded. It would be better if they broke to the bone. No, break them intensively. Oh no, that's not quite right. In fact, human bones and muscles get stronger and thicker the more they are broken. Martial artists don't train their fists by pounding on steel plates for nothing. If we do that, we'll hurt ourselves first. Why would it hurt? It was a question Leon didn't have the energy to answer. Why would a person get sick? Because the body has a limit, an upper limit. Ordinarily, the protection of a war knight would suffice, but count yourselves lucky to have before you the guardian of the Grail. Leon held out the Holy Grail. As the cold, golden Grail emanates a radiance that can move one with its mere presence. And the fully functional Grail was more than just a glowing golden goblet. Eh, Mr. Ku Yu? Yes. Huh? Team leader Kim Do. Han looked at Ku Day, sung in surprise, as his bruised face had suddenly recovered and become clearer. That cup? Ku's guess was spot on. All warriors will recover in the place where the Holy Grail is placed. Even if they didn't drink the holy water directly, their bones would be healed and their torn muscles would regenerate. Fatigue will also be moderately restored. The hunters were stunned since this recovery ability alone made the Holy Grail at least a unique grade treasure. 5 hours starting now. Beat up everyone in sight. You must be completely alone, facing attacks from all sides and in all directions, and beat down the opponent in front of you. Hit and be hit. There is no winning or losing. As long as the Holy Grail is present, you will continue to recover. If, after 5 hours, any of you are still standing, I will beat you myself. In a nutshell, beat each other until you outpace the Holy Grail's recovery. Get hit, beaten, hurt, and broken since you will recover anyway. He's crazy. He's crazy. We're actually training in this ignorant way. The hunters stared at each other awkwardly then as they remained motionless for a moment. Yappy swung a wire. Karang! Karang! An eerie sound rang out, like the crack of an overseer's whip to speed up the slaves building a pyramid. Die, 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 die. The hunters tangled with each other and swung their fists as 5 hellish hours of hitting, pounding, and breaking had begun. At first, Ku Day. Sung dodged the attacks as best he could, pounding away at the man in front of him, but there were 49 people in the ring. There was no escape, and it was less than ideal to just blindly pummel his opponent. He grunted and was about to swing his fist when he realized that the person in front of him was familiar. Ku, Mr. Ku, it's me. It's me. Ki, team leader Kim. Woo, we don't have to beat each other up. Let's join forces. But that was when a sharp noise pierced their ears as a live bullet that was precisely calculated threatened only the two of them. Crack! There, above the head of Hari, who was making a sad face at the mess, was Yappy, glowing with an emotionless red glow, pointing a minimalist-sized machine gun at them. What the hell? Feeling threatened, Ku Day, Sung swung his fist at team leader Kim in front of him, and as team leader, Kim fell backwards. Ku Day, Sung screamed. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. But his screams were short-lived, as they were drowned out by hunters from all directions. It was past noon, and the 5 hellish hours were over. All right, that's enough. It's time to eat. Leon clapped his hands, and the hunters collapsed to the ground, bloodied and swollen, but thanks to the Holy Grail's regenerative powers, didn't have a single broken bone, or, more accurately, the broken bones were reattached, and they were able to fight again. I really thought I was going to die. I've never heard of such an ignorant training method. No matter how hard they beat each other, the hunters felt no pain. I'm hungry. We need to eat something. I heard that the blessed rice here is so famous. Are we going to have it? Everyone was looking forward to the hottest, blessed rice in the Naju Plain, since it was a rare item that is said to cure cancer, make you healthier, and increase your physical resilience just by eating it. It had recently become a YouTube sensation, and the association had announced its benefits. But what they found was food they had never imagined. The hunters scratched their heads at the lunch in front of them, as they didn't understand what the intention behind it was. Ooh, Ms. Ha, Rai, what is this? At the questioning stares, Ha, Ri gave a guilty look, but Leon remained calm. Water. No, that's not. I know. It's water, salt and sugar. Oh, I see. The hunters looked like they were about to say something, but when they caught Leon's mischievous gaze, they lowered their eyes. What is it? I feel like my common sense is being denied. After all we've been through, our only meal is water with salt and sugar. Was this some kind of big deal that they didn't understand? Yappy approaches the bewildered hunters with his robotic arm holding a salt shaker. Salt. Who needs more? Lord Gratas, the Giant Slayer Army Training Manual rule. 0. You only need to feed a trainee enough to keep him from dying. Proper feeding is something that starts with the regular army. Chapter 35. They say the military is well fed these days. Ha! Ri felt a pang of pity for the hunters as he watched them go through the grueling rigors of training. Is it really okay to train like that? In theory. Well, in theory, yes. But how can anyone do anything but theoretically? Leon acknowledged its limitations. Yes, there are limitations, but at the soldier level, they'll grow enough. Leon was assuming that their growth threshold would be less than that of his soldiers. This is not to say that the specifications themselves are unreachable. The current hunters could reach the level of a royal soldier or first army elite soldier if they weren't knights. But the difference in experience is too great. Royal soldiers were professional warriors who have fought in countless wars throughout the kingdom. They are capable of tactical action in groups of 10 or 12 without a commander's orders. In a war against 800,000 orcs, the battlefield had become too wide and the royal soldiers were left to their own devices to defend ridges and reinforce key positions. It would be unreasonable to expect them to be as good as the elite troops who have been on the battlefield for 30 years, if not 50. Real skill can only be developed through experience. The burden will push their bodies to their limits. In the first place, there was no need to be so harsh at the regular army level. If they were this king people, their bodies would already be perfect. They would have always been nourished by crops and an environment blessed by the gods. Unlike this king healthy subjects, they need to be stimulated and enlightened. I see. Even though it seemed like nothing more than an ignorant medieval training method. Ha! Ri forced herself to understand. Your Majesty, do I have to train? Ha? Ri asked cautiously. She was technically a seconded employee of the association, but apart from that, she was the Earthling who had been with Leon the longest. She was an A-rank hunter herself, but the desire to be strong was common among hunters. Do you want to be in there? I don't think so. It wasn't that she didn't want to. It was just the level of difference. Well, okay. To you, they're like little kids. Emma, not quite. Humility is arrogance at that point. Just as a soldier and a knight are different, so are their training methods. You don't need to be trained in the same ignorant manner as a soldier. So much for recognizing ignorance. Ha! Ri found it curious that this barbaric medieval knight king could be so sharply self-objectifying at times. It's almost time for me to leave, so let's go prepare the meal. Ah, yes, that's right. They've been training hard, so they deserve a good meal. Ha! Ri realized that the hunters had been training hard and needed to be fed. Surely Leon would have taken care of that. But when Rai saw the meal prepared for the soldiers, she was shocked. That, Your Majesty, is that water? It was water. Something had been added to it. But was it some kind of special medicine? What is this white stuff? Is it something blessed that Your Majesty has prepared? It is salt. Is that all there is? There is also sugar. Strange. That couldn't be it. There had to be more. Ha! Rai, do you know what is important to soldiers? She quickly pointed out Both those things were currently in shambles at the moment. In wartime maybe, but the most important thing for a soldier is poison. Poison? A happy soldier doesn't kill as easily, while an undernourished and pissed-off soldier is a dangerous combination. So the soldiers are given only the bare minimum to build up their poison. Ree paled. Well, the army is well fed these days. Don't speak about what you don't know. Have you ever led an army like this, King? No. Then how can you say that this King methods are wrong? Well, that's... I tried it, and it worked. Have you tried it? Ree was speechless. Your Majesty, recommendation. Oh, Lord Yappy, you're trying to make objective points with the cold mathematical knowledge of a machine again. Lord Yappy, everyone's survival depends on your calculations. Come on, Lord Yappy. Speak, Lord Spinner. This King is listening. Excess of 17 meg sodium and 112 calories over the minimum human requirement for sustaining vital activity. Recommendation that rations be reduced accordingly. Demons! The man's whose method of training soldiers was evil and based on experience, and a cold machine without a shred of warmth, have formed a maddening collaboration. Torture in the name of training, which resumed after supper, was cancelled due to the arrival of the rain. The hunters were crammed into a village hall, in the name of improving camaraderie, and they stretched out like rainwater. After all that hard work, all I got was 2 cups of sugar water. My body is sore. It hurts. The first training session alone was enough to kill them. I'm really healed. Coup day. Sung was amazed that his torn skin and broken bones were still intact. I can't really feel it yet, but it's almost like my bones have actually hardened. The healing power of the Holy Grail was incredible. It gave them the healing of a decent healer for hours on end. What's even more ridiculous is that it's an AoE, area of effect, heal. While normal healers heal one by one person and have a limited amount of mana, Leon's Holy Grail not only heals all allies in range, but it lasts for at least 5 hours. It was a different kind of resilience. I'm still hungry. The hunters were exhausted from their intense training, but all they were given at mealtime were 2 glasses of water with sugar and salt. The calories weren't a problem, as the water was loaded with enough sugar. Huddled together like an army's internal affairs squad, with only 1 blanket over their heads, they are buried in the pouring rain. Damn, do we have to drink rainwater? I'm hungry. It was 11 o'clock, the time to go to sleep, and none of them could fall asleep. But then they heard a knock on the door. Is anyone there? Miss Hay, Rye? Ree peeked out and asked for permission. May I come in? Oh yes. What can I do for you? It's nothing. I thought you might be hungry, so I cooked up a late-night snack. Ree's hands were full of sweet potatoes. We don't have any cold water, so I bought some bottled water the other day. You've all had a hard time, so please have some. She's an angel. Coup day. Sung and the hunters were overwhelmed by Ree's generosity, and they gleefully grabbed the sweet potatoes and dunked them into the water unpeeled. Yum, 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 Miss Ree. I never knew potatoes were so delicious. Eat slowly. There are still plenty of sweet potatoes left. Ree felt a pang of pity for the hunters as they gobbled up the sweet potatoes, looking like beggars. Yes, people shouldn't be made to feel sorry for themselves when they still have food to eat. Having lost her parents in a cataclysmic event and grown up in an orphanage, she knew what it was like to be hungry. Drink some water while you eat. It's a hot day and you need to stay hydrated. Kwalung! The door to the hall opened without a knock, and the sound of the rain pounding the dirt floor was drowned out by the sound of thunder. Maggots. Against the backdrop of the pouring rain and lightning, the spider machine's eyes seemed colder than usual. 8-camera eyes creak and squeak and glow all around, like an intruder in a top-secret compound. Sir Yappy. Cheating detected. The machine's voice, unchanged from the usual, sounded heavier and more chilling than usual. 8 legs traversed the rain. Soaked dirt and even the slick ground was no obstacle to the polygonal chariot. Stop! On the other hand, the pursuing red-haired girl runs desperately along the ground, her eyes filled with tears or raindrops. Now wait a minute. Please listen to me, Yappy. She's been caught sneaking sweet potatoes to the hunters. Although it was an act of compassion and thoughtfulness on her part, she didn't know how Leon would react to it. The moment she realizes she's been caught, the thought of the hunters slurping down the sweet potatoes brings tears to her eyes, but that's after the fact. How harsh would it be to even suggest that they take the sugar out of the sugar water, since they've had a late night snack? Ree is desperate to stop Yappy as he runs to report to Leon. Luckily, Yappy's speed is slower than Ree's as his strides are shorter, and his power is reduced due to his smaller size. There, almost there. Before Ree could reach him, Yappy stopped. Request to cease tracking. You are committing a grave offense. Okay. I'll stop, okay. Just listen to me for a second. Yappy stops, and Rye naturally stops too, but this was Yappy psychological warfare. It's a tactic that's been proven to be very effective against those with a preconceived notion that machines don't lie. Yappy slowly closes the distance, then runs again. You cheated. You tricked me by pretending to negotiate. Ree ran, panting, but before she knew it, something strong and hard was tied around her ankle. Wire? Arg! Ree sank to the ground, while Yappy distanced himself, but as Ree realized a wire tied to her ankle, she snapped her fingers. Boom! A flame bursts forth in the harsh rain as her blessing of fire burns away the wire tied to her ankles. Stop! Ree ran again, and with only 10% of his power left, the distance between her and Yappy is closing as Rye throws himself at him. Gotcha! Rye throws her whole body and catches Yappy as mud splatters her face and tears her suit, but the joy of securing a meal for the hunters more than makes up for it. But when she throws herself at Yappy, she lands right in front of Leon's quarters as the door opens, and inside, Leon stares down Rye coldly. What's all the fuss about in the middle of the night? Ree's mouth twitches like a goldfish, but the machine is unfazed and in a cold, measured voice reports. Cheating detected. More nutrients than needed. Ree was caught feeding the hunters. You mean to tell me you couldn't wait one day to do that? Oh no, it's just that. I'm sorry. Ree lowered her head, still feeling guilty, but at least the men should be fed. That's it. What can I do about it? But you'll have to be careful next time. When Ree gave him a puzzled look, Leon smirked and continued. I'll make sure to feed them properly when it is time for actual training at the gate. Now go bid on the next gate. I see. Ree realized that for the sake of the hunter's human rights, she had to find a suitable gate as soon as possible. Right, Your Majesty. I was actually supposed to report tomorrow. About what? This was what Leon had requested. He invited them to the graduation ceremony to re-evaluate the trained hunters' ratings. Leon would take them to the Yellow Gate, where the hunters who had shown growth would be officially re-evaluated. This was how strong they could become once they entered the 10,000 Gods Guild, and it was also a means of recruiting more soldiers. There will be many guests, and King Lionheart's authority would be compromised if he neglected his visitors, so I must warn the villagers to make preparations. I'll pass it on, Leon added, looking at Harry, who was a mess from chasing Yappy. She felt sorry for the hunters, who were forced to eat nothing but salt water, and now could eat sweet potatoes. She didn't know if this is something to be thankful for, but at least the hunters won't have to eat nothing but salt water for 4 weeks. I guess he's a merciful man after all. Ha! Ree didn't know that there were no unilateral pluses or minuses to this inflexible authoritarian. If there was a plus, wouldn't it have to be countered by a minus? Lord Gratas, author of the Army Training Manual, said that if a soldier cheats, make sure he is screwed. Chapter 36. You want me to stop this? Morning training was over for the new recruits. Off. I think I'm going to die. Trainee, no. 33, Park Day. Gil is bleeding all over and feels like he's going to die. As he goes to eat his lunch of sugar water, he hears an irritated voice behind him. Hurry up! What the fuck? Park Day. Gil reacted nervously to the insignificant words. The trainees who had been pounding each other like crazy had a lot of bad feelings toward each other. Even if they recovered, they would still swing their fists at each other, and no good feelings would arise. You want to die, asshole! Try me, motherfucker! As they're about to collide, the trainees stiffen as they hear the dull, cold sounds of machinery. Dispute. Military offense in effect. Hick. Sir Yappy, it's not that. Dispute. Military discipline in effect. Corporal punishment by whipping is considered. Hick. This was the problem. No matter how much stress the cadets were under, they couldn't relieve it as long as they had a non-human, mechanical supervisor. And once a cadet rebelled, no one dared to stand up to Yappy, now that they'd seen what it was like to have their calves whipped. Just when they thought they were going to get whipped, a savior appeared. Lord Yappy, the king wants you. Recognition. At Ha! Ree's words, Yappy disappeared before he could carry out the punishment, and Ha! Reeved a sigh of relief. Are you all right, Hunter Park Day? Gil, Hunter Hanjong. Hayuk? Thanks to you. Ah, what a bastard. The hunter's complaints were naturally directed at Yappy. Yappy, who has no thoughts and only acts according to the principles that have been thoroughly typed out, was resented by everyone. Whereas, man, if it weren't for our deputy, I don't know what would have happened. I thank you every night. Ha! Ree had been bringing nightly snacks to the hunters, who were starving on sugar water. If it weren't for the sweet potatoes she brought, the hunters would have been finished long ago. We won't lose. But thanks to Miss Ha, Ree, I'm barely thin. Han Ha, Ree, was an angel who saved them from the tyranny of the unkind and harsh Yappy, and without her, this arduous training would have been even more painful. Ha! Ree smiled awkwardly as she watched the hunters express their gratitude. I can't say I'm doing this with the king's permission. Leon divided the roles of Yappy and Ha Ree into the good instructor and the bad instructor. Appeasement and intimidation, along with carrots and sticks, was an age-old psychological tactic. Yappy whips the trainees, while Ha Ree gives them carrots. With a harsher instructor, there would have been a lot of complaints, but Ha Ree's presence kept them in check. Is the meal ready? Yes, Your Majesty. After the sugar and salt meal, Leon began the afternoon drill with his usual pep talk. The water, sugar, and salt you drink comes from the sweat of the peasants. Always eat with gratitude. Yes, thank you. What's Leon's role in all this? He's a division commander in the Internal Affairs Squad. People freeze in the presence of a higher power and dare not show their displeasure. Rejoice, cadets. The king's pleased that you have eaten well. Eh? No way. He didn't catch us eating late at night, did he? Then this king will conduct a special tactical training session for you, so that you can use your strength after eating like pigs. No. Save me. The hunters were anxious, but at the same time they were glad that they wouldn't have to beat each other up for the afternoon. Still, they feel strangely uneasy. Oh, and before that, I've prepared a reward to motivate you." At Leon's command, Yappy and Ha brought in a red lump and displayed it in front of the trainees, and its identity was easily deduced. Oh, the heart of an orc warrior. That's what they're giving away as a prize. This orc warrior's heart is an item from a powerful monster and a unique enhancer worth hundreds of millions of one that can increase strength and stamina so much that it's a favorite among low-rank hunters. There are 5 of them. We'll do tactical training in groups of 10. At the graduation ceremony in 2 weeks, I will select the best one from each group and give them this as a prize. Oh, that's awesome! The morale, which had been chipped away by hellish training and sugar. Saltwater instantly soared. As if on cue, Leon shows a satisfied look and begins to speak. Your role on the battlefield is that of an iron wall that must not be broken under any circumstances. Tankers, in short. The cadets' primary weapons were shields and spears or swords. Raise your shields, form up, and we will have to hold off the charge of this king. The afternoon drill was in groups of 10. On the vast plains of the harvested Naju plain, one group huddled together with thick shields, while behind them 40 trainees sat and waited. Fighting in the gate is mostly hand to hand, except in unusual cases and the basis of cavalry warfare, without a doubt, is formation fighting. It was a no-brainer. Break down the opponent's formations and defend your own. All but those with ranged aptitude will be trained with shields. These are what you call tanks these days. At those words, the trainees murmured, and Ku Day, Sung asked an innocent question. Aye, your majesty. You mean except for the ranged soldiers. All of us will be tankers. Yes. The uproar grew louder at that, and rightly so. 2 trainees wielding bows to a group of 10 made sense, but the other 8 were all tanks. No, if we're all tanks, who's going to do the damage? Archers aren't going to be enough to deal damage. Ku Day. Sung was very clear about the hunter raid system. Modern hunter composition is gate specific. You have a handful of rare tanks running aggro and dealers diligently chipping away at the monster numbers. Tankers are good for killing mobs, but they're not much more than a deterrent from the mid-boss onwards. Obviously, you need a dealer who can deal heavy damage instead of a tank who can't deal enough. If you want to be a tank in the first place, you need to have that skill so you can take all the damage from the powerful monsters. How in the world are low-rank hunters with no unique skills supposed to be tanks? Don't question it. Your job is to hold off the enemy charge, and that's all you need to do. Nothing else matters, only to stop it. This king will charge. Not at full strength, of course, so brace yourselves. Leon stood upright on his horse, facing 10 shield-bearing hunters. The hunters had witnessed Stallion's ridiculous maneuverability and power. It's that horse. It could decapitate an orc with its hind hooves. It's not going to do it to us, is it? It was then. Tiara of the Lionheart. Effect. Grant's Legion. Hardened Charge Defense. Grant's Legion Fortification. Grant's Legion. Strengthened Battalion Reinforcement. Grant's Legion. Strengthened Valor. Grant's Legion Upgrade Light Armor. Grant's Legion Upgrade Tough Skin. Grant's Legion Upgrade Heavy Strike. Grant's Legion Enhanced Archaic Empowerment. Grant's Legion Upgrade Ranged Resistance. Grant's Legion Upgrade Keen Gaze. Grant's Legion Improved Anti-Infantry Slaughter. Grant's Legion Powered Pollution Resistance. They felt the overwhelming sense of omnipotence at the Orc Gate. The amount of buffs was overwhelming, to the point where they wondered if they were really going to train with all of these buffs. Defend. This king will charge. With this many people defending themselves with shields, what could a single steed do? Let's go, Stallion. At Leon's command, the white horse begins to trot. Ku Day, Sung and the other hunters of the first hunt braced themselves, arms gripping their shields, and then Stallion speed increased. Even a sports car's zero back wouldn't be this good.
What?
At what must have been 30 meters away, the tiny figures of Leon and Stallion filled their vision. The momentum was so frenzied that the hunters felt like they were facing a dump truck charging at full speed. Bang, 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 bang. The sound of horses' hooves was deafening, and the vibrations from the ground assaulted their entire bodies. The idea of horses has long since flown out the window for modern people who are used to cars, trains, and airplanes, but all the hunters felt one thing. You want me to stop that? This is crazy. Even the valor granted by the Lionheart buff could not compel them to act recklessly. Gah! Save me! The cadet in the forefront threw himself down, followed by the cadet in the second row. Unfortunately, Ku Dai, Sung, who was keeping his shield upright in the last 3 rows, didn't dodge and was hit from the front. At the moment of the collision, Ku Dai, Sung saw that assault defense, fortification, massive reinforcement, valor, lightened armor, and tough skin had been activated simultaneously in the system messages. Nevertheless, keen gaze recorded this moment, the moment when his colleagues, who were just next to him, turned into black dots. It was 3 hours later that Ku Dai, Sung, who had fallen under the influence of gravity, opened his eyes. Tesk. Even with the protection of the Lionheart, you're still this weak. How pathetic. The trainees who had witnessed Ku Dai, Sung's fall, were pale. What the hell? A man is flying. You want me to stop that? I don't want to die yet. That day, not a single one of them stopped Leon's charge. It's been a month since the attack on Chongju Gate. Reynold Shellman, Master of the United States of America Tower, was still praying to his late master. Great One, please whisper to your lowly servant once again. Since the capture of the Chongju Gate, the voice that had been imparting knowledge from the Wisdom Gem had disappeared. Leon Dragonia Lionheart, a survivor of the Chongju Gate raid in Korea, was the most likely culprit. Reynold tries to investigate the cause of the disappearance of the voice, but the information is extremely limited. Should he retaliate? Would the voice return if he killed Leon? But even the Great One had fled in fear, and Leon was said to have overpowered the Yacht Spinner, the killing machine of the Chongju Gate. Master, when are you coming back? Are you really coming back? How many sacrifices have I made? After a month of patience, Leonard Shellman became irritated. Damn you demonic bastards, you're so damn expensive. Hiss. Great One, we were counting on your return. Reynold, who had made a brilliant posture change, glared at the Wisdom Gem. Shit. I did get it after all. Get down on your knees, you fool. Yea. Reynold immediately prostrated himself, not knowing why the voice had changed, but only that the evil aura from the purgatory was powerful. I will teach you the truths and wisdom of Samra, and of course you must honor me and make a worthy offering. Of course. Great One, what shall I prepare? Shall we prepare a living sacrifice, or shall I make servants of the hunters at the gate as I did last time? No, for the time being, you'll just have to do what I tell you to do. Soon, a voice came from the Wisdom Gem. Place a spatial transmission spell on the gem, and shoot it in space in case of emergency. What? What do you mean? Fuck you! Just do as you're told. Reynold did as the orb told him, and cast a transmission spell on the box the gem was stored in. Good. You did as you were told. Are you sure about this? I know the orb is supposed to be a tool for the descent of a great being, but I'd rather open a gate than shoot it in space in an emergency. Are you crazy? I'm not going to enter that pit. What? Listen to me. I'm never going to stick my head on a planet where that freak is alive and breathing. Who the hell is he? The gem was silent for a moment, as if it was recalling some horrible memory. "I will find a way to kill him. This is one of the few times when the Holy Knights and his legions are not present, and I must somehow enter the same gate as him." "Ah, I see." Reynold listened to the voice from beyond. The knowledge imparted by the archdemon was astonishingly great, and he marveled once again at the wisdom of the purgatory. To please die. However, the voice from beyond sounded very unconfident. Chapter 37. I Want to be a Knight. Despite the harsh training regimen, mornings were surprisingly free. There's no set wake-up time before the torture known as Project Steelskin begins at Ninium. You'd think they'd be up and about by 9 a.m., but that's not the case. After the afternoon training and meal break, everyone is exhausted and sleeps in at 8 o'clock. Naturally, there were many early risers, and Ku Dai. Sung was one of them. Hua! Hua! Ku Dai. Sung picked up his shield in the morning to train his shield technique. He was the only one who trained on his own in the morning. "Mr. Ku, your strength is good. Why don't you take a break?" "No." Despite team leader Kim Doohan urging, Ku continued to practice his shield technique. To be precise, he practiced using a shield and a sword at the same time. "It's heavier than I thought, and it's hard to swing the sword." During a drill to stop Leon's mounted charge, the trainees were allowed to counterattack, so they tried to stop him by swinging their swords. Even though they were holding swords and shields, as long as they were in formation as he tried to swing with his right hand, the man next to him would be in the way. Inevitably, in the shield formation, he could only thrust his sword. "I've heard that shields are essential in hand-to-hand combat, but will they work against monsters? The attacking stance on this side is too limited. If that's the case, he'll have to hone his stabbing skills to the extreme while holding his shield." Ku Dai. Sung had been practicing this very thing himself. He pushed the imaginary enemy away with his shield and stabbed with his sword. During his breaks, Ku Dai, Sung would go through the shield sword manuals he found online and try different things. And there was someone watching him. Wrong. "Your Majesty." When he saw Leon, Ku Dai, Sung straightened up, assuming the posture of a soldier. "Finish what you started. Stab the sword again." "Yes, yes." Ku Dai. Sung awkwardly gripped his shield and stabbed his sword. After a few stabs, he heard Leon again. "Wrong." Leon stepped in front of Ku Dai, Sung, and grabbed his shield. "You have a habit of lowering your shield the moment you stab. Do not lower your shield at any time, even if you can't see." "Ah, why?" Ku Dai. Sung asked for a reason for the advice that other trainees might have taken for granted. And in his experience, Leon is not the kind of teacher to let questions slide. When you're swinging a sword to protect just you, it's okay. But I've said it many times before. Keep your shield up to the right shoulder of your comrade next to you. "Ah." If you lower your shield, the man to your left will have an empty right shoulder, which creates a gap, and a gap breeds a crack. Never assume you are fighting alone. Imagine fighting with your comrades. Teamwork is a basic tenet of modern ganking. Tanks run the aggro, dealers deal the damage, and backup supports provide the ranged damage. But Leon's group looks more like a regular army than a gate raiding team. Your Majesty, your tactic is for shieldmen like us to hold the enemy at bay while the knights charge in and sweep? Indeed, it is the royal way. The hammer and anvil tactic was a classic, even on Earth. But my opponents are monsters, and they don't seem to be the kind of beings that can be dealt with by the standard techniques. Are you trying to teach this king how to fight beings of a different type? No, not at all. Knowing full well that this Lionheart King's mindset was that of a medieval classist, Ku Dai. Sung wore a cautious expression, however. Leon's expression was much gentler. "There have been many monsters in the beast world that you have encountered at the gate. In fact, the monsters in gates are rather cute. The Lionheart Kingdom has been dealing with constant foreign enemies around them, and while most of them were orcs, there were also many monsters of all sorts. Giants over 20 meters tall, trolls that regenerate endlessly, snakes with multiple heads, spiders carrying dozens of goblins, and a giant dragon that could stamp on mountains like a handle. All those monsters, all those things that were stronger and bigger than humans, were a challenge for the soldiers to deal with. To deal with so many monsters, you have to know a lot of hunting techniques and be able to improvise. It's a skill that only comes with practice. Leon stared at Ku De Sung. Ku De Sung, the soldier. Do you have decades of training with the goddess against monsters? Or do you have the grace to honor any battlefield with a single sword or spear? Ku De Sung felt his breath caught in his throat. As a high-level hunter, you'd think they'd have a better survival rate than low-level hunters, but that's not the case. Anything can happen at the gate. You'll encounter orcs, witches casting evil spells, and monsters that are too big to handle. The Yak Spinner at the Shongju Gate alone was an all-around killing machine that was nothing like the monsters he saw before. So high-level hunters facing such monsters will inevitably have a high mortality rate. Why? Because if you don't know, you die. The knights Leon speaks about are superhumans who, like the high-level hunters, hunt all manner of mutant beasts, never knowing what to expect. That's why we only teach one thing to our soldiers. Versatility is a virtue required of a knight. You are to hone only one skill to increase your chances of survival. Ku De Sung and his shield trainees have only one task: block, until the knight kills the enemy. But it's a noble task, not one to be taken lightly. Nevertheless, Ku De Sung wanted more. Do you dream of being a knight? How can I? Ku De Sung interrupted, wondering if Leon, who considered him a commoner, would look down on him like the common fantasy nobility. What? One who willingly walks the path of hardship with a noble mission. One who protects the common people and does good deeds with courage. Those who enforce the 10 Commandments and those who swear an oath to the goddess and her people. Anyone who makes that sacred covenant is a knight. If you are courageous and worthy of that duty, you are worthy of my respect. It felt like a hammer to the head. All this time, the cadets had been deeply prejudiced against Leon, and thought that, as a king from this medieval fantasy, he world would be a staunch classist and an authoritarian discriminator. He would treat them only as soldiers and expect nothing but submission and obedience. However, Leon was a Night King. I want to be a knight. It was only because Leon told him that he could be one. The end of the 4-week training was near. The conclusion of the training was a crucial moment to decide on the future supply of trainees after a demonstration ceremony with the association president and other relevant people. It was an important moment to prove the achievements and continue to second and third generation trainees. Eventually, Leon's plan was to grow the organization to the size of an army and recruit high-level knights. Greetings, Your Majesty. Welcome. Okang, Hayuk, chairman of the association, had traveled to Naju Plain on schedule for the graduation ceremony. He's joined by a number of his staff, including Chief Kim Jin Soo, who's here because the gate assault will serve as a grade test for the trainees. Your Majesty, I've heard the plan, but are you okay with it? What do you mean? I've heard that the gate used for this test is a yellow gate, but that's not how it should be evaluated. The cadets would have to prove themselves. There's no problem. Only if Your Majesty says so. Okang. Hayuk was skeptical, but he trusted the otherworldly survivor's abilities. Still, he couldn't help but worry. Unlike Leon, who was so confident, the trainees were burdened with the responsibility of proving their skills. There were more association employees than expected at the 10,000 Gods Guild's training completion ceremony, plus members of the 10 guilds who had heard the rumors. Ku De Sung felt overwhelmed by the crowd, and as a 10-year D rank, this kind of attention was too much for him. People heard rumors that the Lionheart King was training the low-rank hunters, and if he didn't show that he had grown up, he would be the target of ridicule and sneers. Damn, aren't we getting screwed? Team leader Kim Do. Han feels the same way, since he never received this kind of attention before, even though hunters are the most recognized profession in Korea. But that's only for high-level hunters. Those who simply lead mining teams and collect the byproducts of the hunters' hunts are nothing more than laborers. I hear the king isn't even helping this time. And a yellow gate? That's crazy. Surely it's not an orc gate like last time? Unless it's a second-hand gate, we'll only know when we get inside. As the trainees express their mixed feelings, Leon, Yappy, and the association's president, Oh Kang, Hyuk, approach the podium. Once they're all assembled, Leon begins to speak. The boys have proven themselves over the course of 4 weeks of training. Of course, there will be questions, and there will be complaints. There must have been a lot of unreasonable complaints. Leon knows that the last 4 weeks of training have been the height of irrationality. The brutal training, where they had to beat each other up and push themselves beyond the limits of their abilities, and on top of that, their only meals was water mixed with salt and sugar. Nevertheless, the men persevered and demonstrated using their actions the virtues of patience and submission. Submission. Patience. It's expendable. When they flinched at the word, Leon was quick to catch them. Do not take virtue lightly. It may seem unreasonable, but these trials and tribulations thicken the group and strengthen the outer walls. There was a pervasive sense of unreasonableness in that complaint. Speaking of the unreasonableness of what was being forced upon the soldiers, Leon says, "The suffering you are going through now, the forced loyalty, will save you." Really? Ku was skeptical, even as he listened to Leon's words. For 4 weeks, they'd been through only 2 drills. A grueling physical workout and a defense drill, where they had to hold onto their shields and block Leon's mounted charge. Not a single group has yet been able to stop Leon's charge. Are they really that strong? Do you doubt? Do you not believe in yourself? The time for proof has come, Leon declared. His voice was crisp, clear, and had the power to lead. This is why the trainees mindlessly obeyed this absurd medieval fantasy, Lion King. From now on, you'll attack the gate. Gwangju City Yellow Rank Gate. It is there that you will realize what it is like to be a soldier of the Lionheart King, and it is there that you will encounter the faith that you are meant to serve. The departure of the 49 D-rank hunters began. Gwangju Gate was not far from the Naju Plain. The break started 2 days ago, and the grace period until the dungeon break was estimated at 10 days. Even though Leon had instructed them to get a yellow gate for the graduation ceremony, it hadn't been easy to find one in time, so the association had been forced to buy a used gate. But are you sure it's okay, Rai? I think it's fine, Chief. Chief Kim Jin. Su expressed his concern to Ri, who hadn't seen him in a long time. The majority of the members were hunters who were said to be D ranks and had no room for growth, and Leon made them attack a yellow gate with them, proving their growth under the watchful eye of the association staff. He would have been less worried if Leon had said he was going to attack the yellow gate alone. Seeing as the robot knight isn't here, are you going to clear it with just the trainees? Ri and Yappy were ordered to wait while the cadets attacked the gate, since it was Leon's intention to be as fair as possible. Thanks to you, I'm going to suffer. Good luck, Chief. Chief Kim Jin. Su was overseeing the assault. He was the tank of the association's raid and a B-rank hunter, so it was calculated that he could safely supervise a yellow gate. Let's go! Leon shouted, and one by one, the armed trainees entered the gate, including Chief Kim Jin, Su, Leon. As Yappy sends them on their way and his 8 eyes are turning sharply, Ri speaks softly. Lord Yappy, don't worry too much. His Majesty is here, so everything will be fine. Trouble. His Majesty. 49 cadets. one observer. Isn't that right? What's the problem? 52 people in the gate. Yappy brought up a hologram as an infrared image of what he'd just witnessed. There, a masked robed person was entering the gate ahead of the trainees. Who is this? Emergency. Yappy didn't say anything more. He just charged straight for the gate at full speed. Lord Yappy, wait for me. And just as Yappy entered the gate, Rai, who was following behind, couldn't make it through the gate and bumped into something. Realized that something had happened to the gate that Yappy had gone through. What? The gate is fluctuating. Magic power fluctuating. The surface of the gate suddenly turned red as if smeared with blood. What? Red? Why did the yellow color suddenly turn red? Chairman O Kang. Hayuk was stunned by the change in front of him. Fluctuation Gate. Chapter 38. Fluctuation Gate. The lights at the gate faded, and slowly a vast battlefield came into view. Krya! Kak! Strange monsters swarmed around, and all of them were demons. The horns protruding from their foreheads and the foul magic, demon mana, was proof. The demons are racing across the plains, and an army stands to stop them. Stop them. Stop them. Impossible. The demons numbered in the thousands, and the army against them was only a few hundred. They're badly outnumbered, and their armaments are meager. Compared to hunters refined by modern technology, medieval armor and spears were no match for demons 10 times their size. And it's not just the trainees who are baffled by the demonic forces. Why demons? Demon Gate. Demons coming out of the Yellow Gate was unprecedented. Being summoned to the middle of the battlefield out of nowhere was baffling enough. But demons... Even the ancients who had studied the gate had never heard of such a phenomenon. Shields up, defense, form up. Despite the sudden change of scenery, Leon's orders were calm. The trainees quickly came to their senses as he rode up on his pure white horse, swinging his sword in the air and tapping the soldiers' shields. Shields up! Following their leader's instructions, the shields are raised in a flash. Forward, forward, forward. Forward, not just stay and watch. Leon's orders startled the trainees, but they had seen and learned something over the past 4 weeks. Absolute obedience to a knight's orders. Needless to say, there was a price to pay for disobedience. Alian Hot Aura. Above all else, his mere presence grants a wealth of buffs, and the trainees raise their shields and slowly advance. Not afraid? Seeing this, Chief Kim Jin, Su had a puzzled look on his face. He couldn't help but realize how reckless an order it was to charge into that horde of demons, but the cadets obeyed dutifully. And most of all, Kim Jin Su is stunned by the blinding barrage of system messages. What are these enhancement traits? Giving all the hunters commander and higher buffs. Meanwhile, the trainees, marching steadfastly forward instead of fleeing, caught the eye of the demons, and dozens of demons charged toward them. Demon dogs, coming this way. Bloodhounds, commonly referred to as demon dogs, were human-sized demons, and they lunged at the huddled masses of shields and arrows, breathlessly hoping for the best. Bang, 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 bang. Chief Kim Jin. Su intuitively knew that the charge would break through the shields, but block them! Hold on. The trainees withstood the 4-legged beast's physical assault. Not just 1 or 2 outstanding ones, but all of them. The Bloodhound's charge that is too much for even a B-rank hunter? Rank B tanks have unique skills that help them tank, but these D-rank hunters don't have such a skill, and they've managed to block the Demon Hound's charge with their shields. Counterattack! At Leon's command, the trainees stabbed their swords through the gaps in the shields, and their swords easily pierced the demon dog's flesh. Ki-ki-ki. Third! Block! The hunters blocked the demon hound's charge. Then lesser demons charged the shield wall with frenzied strikes, but it held. Leon raised his sword and shouted, "Charge!" The cadets hurriedly raised their shields and charged forward, staying close to the greatswords and giving the enemy no room to swing their greatswords. "Push! Forward!" After 4 weeks of frantic practice, the hunters pushed the demons back with an instantaneous explosive push. Stab! From here on out, it was a mechanical repetition of motions. Block, push, and stab. There was nothing quite like hand-to-hand combat in anti-infantry warfare. As the rampaging demons were sliced and diced, a hulking demon emerged. Demon Troll! Demon Troll! A medium-sized monster with a body the size of a house and a club that must have been 2 meters long appeared, and the trainees' pupils trembled as they realized that they were no match for it. "Don't back down! Stay in formation and hold your ground!" Leon's voice roused them. His presence was all they needed to hold their ground, countering heavy objects. Sniping commenced. It was then that a minimalist machine gun opened fire with a mechanical voice. "To-da-da-da-da-da-dad." A bullet fired from the fuselage of a holy knight is a holy attack in itself. Lord Yappy. Why is Lord Yappy here? Regardless of the hunter's reactions, the demon troll, which had been charging with terrifying momentum, slowed down in pain as Yappy's holy machine gun round had shredded its knee. But the troll didn't stop its momentum and raised its club. Trolls are at least Class B. Their mass even makes them Class A in terms of difficulty. There's no way D-rank hunters would be able to stop a boss, level entity from coming out of that yellow gate. Armed. Cool day. Sung raised his shield. It protected his teammate's right shoulder. The hunters, whose ears were bleeding, naturally clustered their shields around Ku Day. Sung. Bang! Bang! Ku Day. Sung and the other trainees felt their bodies being pushed backwards as the insurmountable difference in mass penetrated their defenses and shocked them. Ha! But a common question flashed through the minds of the trainees who had blocked the troll's blow. This is lighter than His Majesty's charge. The difference in strength must be 4 times. In the past 4 weeks, they hadn't blocked a single one of Leon's charges, and the slightest slip of his foot would send them soaring into the air. Strongest charger. Compared to him, a troll's swing would make the trainee's defense stagger. Good block. Meanwhile, Leon, who had already approached the troll's back, swung his holy sword with a flick, and the troll's head was sliced off as if it were tofa. Ki-eat-eat! Kayak! As the trolls, who had been their secret weapon, died in such a ridiculous manner, the momentum of the demons subsided. The defenders, on the other hand, gained momentum. The demons, demoralized, took notice and began to retreat as the demon trolls had been annihilated. Kiwi, dead. Troll, really dead. When they died, they merely returned to the spirit realm, losing their material vessel. The troll that had just died, however, had not gone through the process of disappearing into the spirit world. It was sucked into Leon's holy grail and vanished. They're backing off. We won, we won. As they rejoiced in their survival, Ryder approached Leon and the hunters. Apparently a commander or knight, by the state of his armor, he first bows his head in thanks. Thank you for coming to save our Sparrow Kingdom, warriors. The hunters each checked their system windows at his words. The Sparrow Kingdom is being invaded by demons. Defend the kingdom from the invasion of the demons. Time remaining, 1 week. Is this a quest? Demons. Do you mean greater demons? It can't be a greater demon. There's no way a greater demon would come out of the Yellow Gate. The hunters were confused, and some insisted on exiting the gate immediately. But, what? The gate is gone? What happened? Is this a fluctuation gate? No way. The hunters' faces hardened. The joy of victory was gone in an instant, replaced by despair. "Quiet! Don't be silly." Leon's voice drifted over them. The Lionheart King's aura that lifts the morale of his soldiers by his mere presence brought the half-collapsed hunters to their feet. "Lord Spinner, what brings you here?" "Observations. A third party has entered." Yappy displayed a hologram of his observations as a figure in robes. Not Leon or the hunters used some sort of invisibility spell and was only visible in infrared. Is he up to something? Lack of evidence. Is there anyone who can explain the current situation? Ku Day. Sung cautiously raised his hand. This is a fluctuation gate. What is that? It's an anomaly in the gate. To put it simply, the difficulty of the gate is rising rapidly, and you can't leave until you clear it. Leon looked at the gate, which had disappeared unlike the Orc gate, and realized that the way out was blocked. Mom. Leon was surprised that something like this would happen to the cadets during their graduation exam. Was it a coincidence? He didn't know. As Leon pondered, the hunters' complexions darkened in real time. Normally, the gate was based on the difficulty of the pre-measurement, and it was difficult for the right group of hunters to respond to the sudden increase in difficulty. They're stuck in a gate with an infinitesimal survival rate. Still, despite this, there is only one reason for them not to panic: the presence of the Lionheart King in front of them. "Your Majesty, Your Majesty, do you have a plan?" When the attention of the anxious hunters was focused, Leon spoke with a calm expression to prevent them from despairing. "We'll attack," the quest said to defeat the Demon Lord. Greater demon? Or maybe an archdemon? Him! Ooh. Yes, Your Majesty has 3 demon-related traits alone. Terror of demonic species. Demon Lord Slayer. Greatest Demon Slayer. These were the only demon-related traits that were confirmed by the system message, but the hunters' faces brightened with hope. Leon didn't bother to mention that the battle was fought in his world, a world filled with divinity. He didn't tell them that in his current form, he was no match for a demon lord, archdemon. They could only lean on the hope that was in themselves, since a knight must remain steadfast at all times. Meanwhile, Reynold Shellman, the mastermind behind the transformation of the Guangzhou Gate into the Demon Gate, watched as Leon repelled the demons. In one blow, a mid-level demon, a demon troll. No matter how much the hunters distracted it, decapitating such a tough troll with a single blow. Above all, the troll's demise was a shocking sight. Demons are immortal creatures. They live in the spirit realm, and their physical manifestations are merely shells. They are more like remote-controlled drones, and their destruction doesn't kill them. However, the Lionheart King's sword forces the death of the beings it has slain. It travels up the mental link and forces death, meaning that the pilot of the drone dies when it is destroyed. He could see why the archdemon beyond the wisdom gem had fled in terror. Hey! Great One? Even after witnessing such a terrifying existence, a dismal laughter could be heard coming from the wisdom gem. Weakened. Lionheart, Leon Dragonia Lionheart, you're just a man after all. Weakened? Him? The one who destroyed a demon troll that wasn't even a normal troll with a single blow? Apparently amused by Reynolds' questioning, the wisdom gem giggled and replied, He. If he had the strength of his prime, he would have annihilated about 1,000 demons in a single strike, and if he had enough strength, he would have unsealed the holy sword. The sword emitted a brief but brilliant light when it slashed at the demon troll's throat. Such power, and it hasn't even been unsealed. Hey, Hare. Even such a strike, it's only slightly stronger than a holy knight, so he'll be defeated. As the archdemon beyond the wisdom gem rejoiced, Reynolds spoke cautiously. Great existence! Then shall we perform a ritual for you to descend. The wisdom gem was puzzled. You said he's weakened. Reynolds swallowed his complaint and asked, And what about the one? Who'll handle him? He. The demon lord of this place. The demon lord. Reynolds confirmed the existence of demon lord. No way. There really is a demon lord. If there was such a thing, it was definitely a must-win. In the history of the 30 Years' War, since the Cataclysm, the demon lord was a monster among monster among monster among monsters that had slaughtered countless S-class hunters. The energy of the gate is not enough for a demon lord to descend, but there is an evil spirit here that has been appointed as a lord. Oh! Reynolds swallowed hard at those words. Humans who serve demons often wish to become demons themselves at the end of their roles. They aspire to the immortality of demons and ambition to become archdemons themselves. Hey! There's an existence here that those ugly, lustful demons have been working on for 100 years. That would be enough to kill the weakened Lionheart King. For that, Reynolds needed to move around. He would use the fleeting hope of the Spiro Kingdom to awaken the Demon Lord. Chapter 39. The Kingdom in the Gate. Spiro Kingdom, this peaceful millennia, old kingdom, has been plunged into a catastrophe. The demons invaded, and one city after another fell, leaving only the last royal castle, where the humans are fighting a losing battle. It's a theme. Our theme? At a bar inside Sero Castle, Ku Dai, Sung said. Come to think of it, all the gates had their own scenery. Yes, there are field hunting type gates like the Seal Station Gate, and then there are dungeon type gates, and then there are NPC quest type gates like the Orc Gate. Leon has experienced 4 gates since coming to Earth. The first was a dungeon type gate in the Hunan Plains, where after defeating the boss, monster Dullahan, the gate closed. The second was the Shongju Gate. It was a cyberpunk-themed world where Yacht Spinner was trying to stop the unsealing of the Wisdom Gem. Third was Samjun Station Gate in Seal, where the theme was to help an orc tribe to become the leaders of the plains, but Leon had slaughtered them all with his ignorant charge. This fourth gate was similar to the orc-infested 3 realms gates they'd been through. This gate is a little different from the Orc Gate, Ku said, checking a system window that Leon couldn't see. There is a condition attached to completing the quest. Condition? Yes, a time limit. The kingdom of Spero is being invaded by demons. Defend the kingdom from the invasion of demons. Time limit, 1 week. That's right. The quest condition was to defend the kingdom for 1 week. In other words, we only need to defend the kingdom for a week, and then the gate will be closed. That's strange. I've heard that the gate showed signs of a dungeon break phenomenon. After a certain period of time, it cracks and the monsters inside jump out. It's not just monsters. The overflowing miasma inside will spill out, polluting the ground and making it uninhabitable. The monsters inside the gates, that are maintained without closing, are constantly being cleaned. Yes, for a normal gate, that's the way it should be. But these specified quest gates can be closed as long as you clear the quest, even if you don't clean the inside. That was the proof, backed up by the data humanity had accumulated since the Cataclysm. Even fluctuation gates occurred from time to time, so Kude, Sung should not be wrong. Then, did you say Chief Kim Jin, Su? Leon glanced at Kim Jin, Su, who was in the middle of his meal, never touching the food in front of him. Yes, Your Majesty. As an employee of the association, he was originally brought in to witness the growth of the trainees and remeasure their ratings, and there was a condition. Originally, this king was not supposed to participate. However, given the urgency of the situation, will our ratings be altered by the presence of this king and Lord Spinner? Originally, he was supposed to assess the abilities of the hunters alone, since Leon's inclusion would make things too easy. Chief Kim Jin, Su hadn't expected the D ranks to grow after only 4 weeks of training, but today's battle made him re-evaluate them. They definitely grew in just 4 weeks. With no unique skills, they were at least a C rank, and thanks to Leon's enhanced traits, they performed like B rank tanks. He didn't know what they were eating, but their physical strength and physical abilities had increased dramatically. I don't think it's a problem. I have that much discretion. Oh! With the approval of the association staff, the hunter's spirits rose. However, he was still resolute in his determination when he told them that they would be evaluated based on their performance. One more thing. Leon's words drew everyone's attention. What do you think about quest conditions changing in hidden quest elements, as it happened in the Orc Gate? Do you think there will be any such elements in this gate? A hidden quest. Wouldn't we have to do something as ridiculous as we did with orcs? They first saw hidden quests in the Orc Gate since Leon's actions, which destroyed the premise of the quest, changed the quest itself. It's possible, I suppose. Mr. Kim, have you ever heard of a similar case? It's not like there aren't any, because anything can happen in the gates. Ku Day. Sung became uneasy. Your Majesty, do you have any ideas? I'm thinking of slaying Demon Lord. What? The meaning of his words was clear. While slaughtering all the demons that couldn't be counted, they would also try to capture the Demon Lord that was responsible for the invasion. This was even bigger than the Orc Gate. At least back then, they had Yappy, the guild's weapon of mass destruction. Your Majesty, are you still willing to take such a dangerous path? Don't worry. I don't intend to overwhelm you. The hunters were relieved to hear that. Leaving the walls of the castle and the army of the Kingdom of Sparrow behind to attack the demon with only 50 hunters would be suicide. In honor of your victory, rest well today, for tomorrow you will have the burden of meeting the commander of this kingdom. Yes, Your Majesty. Leon left the hunters behind and went upstairs to the room the Kingdom Knight had prepared for him. There he summoned the Holy Grail and drained the energy of the demon troll he killed today. The Holy Grail has the power to destroy evil and turn its energy into holy power. It's one of the reasons Leon was able to slaughter over 10 million demons in his world. I didn't think it could absorb the leader of the beasts. He absorbed one of Gokrok's arms and used the energy to restore the Grail's functionality. The demon trolls were not quite as powerful, but he was able to connect to the Temple of 10,000 Gods without difficulty. Clelon, my first knight. Ariana. He couldn't summon the gods, but he could talk to the gods of the Temple of 10,000 Gods in his heart for a moment. Did you feel it? Yes, this gate has an otherworldly energy. Leon had only felt the strange energy after the battle. I noticed it too late. You, a living, flesh and blood being, would not have noticed it. What it meant was simple. There was an existence in this world that possessed such immense power that even the Lionheart King could feel it naturally. It should be the Demon Lord. An existence with that much power would have more intense aura. This is something. Leon slaughtered 2 demon lords, archdemons. Together with the Grail Knights, he and the gods had succeeded in slaying the demon horde, whose power was so maddening. Malus, Lord of Chaos, and Othradon, Lord of Pleasure, each of these monsters could end a world. Their mere presence makes the world tremble, bringing screams and despair. If a Lord-level demon were at this gate, lesser hunters would despair, despite the aura of the Lionheart. Nai Might, the gods of the Pantheon, have a message for you. Your knight listens. Flay wishes to investigate this world. She must have sensed something. Flew herself. Leon recognized the divinity. She will need energy to descend. I don't have to tell you the way, do I? Something more tangible is needed for a divine descent than simply possessing an incarnation, as in the case of Demera. The next morning, soldiers came to the inn where the 10,000 Gods Guild was staying. Lord Lionheart. Where is Lord Lionheart? Ku Day, Sung, who had risen early in morning, ran up the stairs to wake Leon. Your Majesty, may your soldier see you. But Leon had already descended, fully dressed. Even though it was still early, his appearance had a cheerful glow. I must go to the palace. Ku Day. Sung suddenly realized that Leon was indeed a different race from him. You must be Lord Lionheart. Yes. Leon didn't identify himself to the soldiers who came to him. After all, he was technically a knight. The Chancellor and the Captain. General wished to see you, sir. The carriage is ready, so let's go to the palace. Very well. It had been discussed yesterday, so Leon readily accepted. Leon glanced back before climbing into the carriage. Lord Spinner, stand by. You'll be in charge of the remaining trainees. Yes. We're also headed to the castle, and we can't go without servants, so I'll take 3 volunteers to serve as servants. After a moment of stunned silence, the hunters, who knew from social experience that in times like this, they had to act quickly, stepped forward. Chief Kim Jin, Su, Kim Du Han, Ku Day, Sung. Others followed, but it was too late. Good. Open the door. Kim Jin, Su, who had a lot of work experience, rushed over and opened the carriage door. He didn't ask the common sense question, do I have to open the door for this royal personality? When they arrived at the royal palace, a servant bowed to them. Welcome, gentlemen. I'm Parko, Chamberlain of the palace, and I'm here to escort you. As Parko led the way inside the palace, where all sorts of art and decorations were elegantly placed, the hunters wondered if this was what it would be like to visit a royal palace in old Europe. The owner of the palace, must have great taste. You have good taste. Chamberlain Parko responded to Leon's praise and explained the history of the palace so that the guests wouldn't get bored. This palace, the Royal Palace of Sparrow, has a long history. It has hosted many queens, from the founding Queen Fiora to the current Queen Beatrice. Queens from the beginning. It must be a matriarchal society. Shh! Her Majesty is looking this way. The 3 of them whispered to each other at the Chamberlain's words, but Leon glared at them and spoke up in a firm voice. In what country is it proper for a commoner to pry into the affairs of royalty? I apologize. Leon quickly apologized to the Chamberlain. I'm sorry, my friend. They were never taught proper etiquette. The situation is urgent, so I've brought in people who don't know their manners. It's okay. You're an outsider, so it's to be expected. The Chamberlain shrugged it off, but Leon stared at the 3 of them with a hard gaze and clicked his tongue as if to say, Listen, Tesk. Even if you're unlearned, there's something to be said for noticing. The 3 of them had to keep their mouths shut until they reached the throne room. When they arrived, Leon was greeted by several bureaucrats. Knights and officials stood on either side of a large carpet, with what appeared to be a throne at the end of the carpet covered by a tent. A silhouette could barely be seen through the canopy, and it took the form of a slender woman. Lord Lionheart. Leon and his companions were well known in the castle for yesterday's battle, as a mysterious group that had performed heroically against a demonic army. If Leon hadn't identified himself as a knight, people would have assumed they were a group of mercenaries. You must be Sir Lionheart from the battle at the gates. The first to speak was a middle-aged man in colourful clothing with an impressive moustache. I am Duke Acquium, Lord Chancellor of the Realm. Chancellor of the Realm, needless to say, a man of the court. He was about to recite his proposal to make Leon a Knight of the Realm for leading them to victory in battle until Leon opened his mouth. I'll start by greeting Queen. Leon made a beeline for the Queen's throne, but 2 men stood in his way, Duke Acquium and an elderly knight, presumably a general. How can an outsider, no matter how meritorious, come so close to your majesty's throne? The Chancellor's words were echoed by the 3 men who had followed Leon. You have a point. He could suddenly turn around and try to assassinate us. Leon was an otherworldly royal with a different sense of common sense from Earth, but he wasn't a closed-minded person who denied what made sense, so he wasn't offended by the Chancellor's refusal, but, I can't stand it. What? Your Majesty, I am Leon Dragonia Lionheart, Lionheart King of the Lionheart Kingdom, and I will do what must be done, even if I know it is disrespectful. No! What does he mean by that, Captain? And why don't you get him out of here? At that moment, Leon grabbed the Chancellor's face. Now, wait. This is some kind of déjà vu. Crack! The lion-hearted king's arms tightened, and the Chancellor head snapped around as it rotated 1080 degrees and settled back down. It was instant death. It happened so fast, and it was so shocking, that it took the people a while to recover. After 3 seconds of unresponsiveness, Leon ripped the arm of the Chancellor from his limp body. It was rare to see a man's arm ripped off with pure evil. What the hell? What did he not like this time? Chapter 40. The Demon Slayer. The Chancellor's head spun 3 times. It was instant death. Plus his arm was torn off. The reactions are slow, and in the face of an emergency that far exceeds their common sense, they freeze. What did you do? Someone said, and at the same time the soldiers pointed their spears. You! Leon remained calm in the face of the immediate danger. He didn't stop at turning the Chancellor's head and ripping out his arm, but kicked him in the knee where he hadn't yet fallen. You! How long are you going to hide your identity, filthy fiend? Do you really think you can hide from this Lionheart King's eyesight? The shivering corpse stirred, then peeled back its skin to reveal a hideous, haggard creature. After shedding its human skin, the creature's head resembled a wart, and its scythe-like arms flailed about. It was an arm that had been hastily regenerated thanks to Leon's earlier removal. A demon? It was then that the dozens of soldiers and nobles who had gathered in the realm had shed their outer shells, revealing their hideous forms. Demons! The non-demons were horrified by the sudden appearance of the demons. If they were slow to react, they would be wiped out. Don't flounder, you lowly things! The lion-hearted king's furious yell was deafening to the soldiers and demons alike. Unite! Fight as one! At Leon's words, the soldiers rushed to unite, while the nobles and bureaucrats retreated behind him in a huff. Care, eh? A demon whose eardrums burst at the holy roar rushed forward, swinging a blade-like arm. But the blade was caught by Leon's arm. Chi-i-i? The demon struggles with the unmoving arm, but Leon pulls harder and harder, and the arm is ripped off in a pool of green blood. Kiki-iti! The demon's howl of agony didn't last a second, as the holy sword had decapitated it. As Leon cut the demon's throat in one swift motion, Chief Kim Jin, Su shouted, "Raise your shield." Unlike Leon, who could summon his holy sword, they entered the throne room unarmed. Instead, they tried to pick up the dead soldier's weapons and armor. It was then that a mantis demon attacked team leader Kim Do. Han, as he picked up a weapon, but just as the sharp blade was about to cut into him, a flash of light pierced the demon's throat. It was not Leon who wielded the sword, but an old man, the kingdom's grand marshal, who wiped the blade clean of the demon's green blood and barked out instructions. Demons have infiltrated the palace. Kill them all. Soldiers and knights joined in, and one by one, the demons were slain. Kayai, A dense mist of black energy rose from the demons' corpses, clinging to their skin and disturbing their minds. You, Himph! My head hurts. The soldiers scream in pain. Chief Kim, Jin, Su, and team leader Kim Do Han also held their heads, shivering while Ku Day. Sung was the only one holding on in a cold sweat. The power of corruption. So, the demons at this gate are its minions. The demons, on the other hand, were unable to breach Leon's mental barrier. His powerful ego and absolute faith in the divine are beyond their reach. Let me show you the grace of God. Leon took out the Holy Grail and splashed the holy water into the air, clearing the fog as divine grace took hold, and the evil was driven away. Ugh! What the non-demons could barely see was Leon with a gloriously brilliant holy sword and grail. In a room full of evil spirits, he shone with more layers than anyone else, and some fell to their knees and shed tears at his noble presence. Greetings, hero. As they worshipped, Leon moved toward the queen, who remained silent amid the commotion. Stop! The Grand Marshal stopped him with his sword pointed at him, but Leon did not blame him. I understand your loyalty, but in this time of emergency, you shouldn't put royalty first. Only the queen can judge my loyalty. You have a point. But... Leon snapped his fingers at the cool blade of the sword pointed at him. Bang! Bang! Leon flicked the blade, and the blade bent under the enormous impact, causing the Grand Marshal to tremble as well. The power of Leon was truly beyond human, and he spoke to the Grand Marshal as he grabbed his trembling hand. I ask no questions. I make no judgments. It is the Queen's job to decide, and you know it too. Heft. Her Majesty is in a daze and cannot make a judgment. She has entrusted that power to the Chancellor, and now that he is dead, I, the Grand Marshal, have full authority. Hum. Leon stared for a moment at the Queen beyond the tent, who remained silent. However, he was soon convinced that she was not a fallen, beings who turn into demons, and spoke to the warlord. There's already an aura of the fallen in this castle, and we will have to clean it up quickly. Are you sure of that? A king does not seek falsehoods. The warlord thought for a moment, then spoke cautiously. What do you want? Command of the soldiers and the right to execute rogue servants. I will deal with your incompetence. The Great Marshal turned to face the Queen for a moment, and since the silhouette of the Queen leaned against the throne was unresponsive, the decision rested with him. How? Gather all the men of this city in the square. NPCs. Were they always this cooperative? In a theme like this, the hunters aren't even more than soldiers. Although they were called NPCs for convenience, their intelligence and autonomy were no different from those of modern Earthlings. If anything, they were more authoritarian and wary of outsiders. Soldiers, bureaucrats, and nobles bobbed and weaved at Leon's command. There's something different about the king after all. Natural charisma, a noble spirit, and unquestioned authority. Leon was royalty by birth and would act the same way anywhere. He's used to being in charge and leading people. I thought about it a lot when he was feeding us sugar water, but we should stay in the 10,000 Gods Guild. Ku Day. Sung nodded at team leader Kim Do-han's words. While the hunters were talking, a large number of citizens gathered in the square. Tens of thousands of the city's citizens, young and old alike, had gathered together. Leon stepped to the podium. I am Leon Dragonia Lionheart King of the Lionheart Kingdom, authorized by the Grand Marshal of the Sparrow Kingdom. The crowd roared as the foreign knight introduced himself, but Leon spoke quickly. There are those among you who are demon, possessed, and corrupted, and they plan to riot from inside to match the invasion from outside. The citizens were agitated and confused by his words. What way? I'll let him show you. Leon gestured, and the soldiers blocked off the square and began stacking wood as the citizens grew anxious. What the hell are they doing? Leon was not deterred by the commoner's words, and he pointed his glowing holy sword at the oiled lumber. God of war and flame, rain down your fire upon your warriors. Sparks flew from the holy sword. It was brief, but it was enough to ignite the oiled wood. The timbers stacked in a circle, spread in shovelfuls, creating a prison that enclosed the entire square. Now, those who are not evil, those who are not corrupt, those who are not heretics, prove your purity by throwing yourself into the flames. The citizens were momentarily stunned by Leon's booming announcement, and they weren't the only ones. Even the soldiers in the circle were dumbfounded by Leon's command. Kaya! Kawa! The flames roared and gained momentum as they consumed the fiercely burning wood. You're crazy. He's trying to kill us all. It was a natural reaction. And even Ku Day, Sung and Kim Jin, Sue must have been wondering, is he crazy? At that moment, Leon didn't let the commoners' outcry go unanswered. Will you shut up, you fools? Leon's words effectively silenced them. Demons infect and deceive people with their malice. If necessary, I will kill all of you to stop the spread of evil. Of course, no one would kill an entire city to kill a lurking demon, but Leon was saying that he was capable of doing so. Pass through the divine flame and prove your purity. It's simple. Crazy. A madman. The great marshal has brought a madman. I frighteningly agree. Chief Kim swallowed hard. You always have to show the people in person. This king will have to do the hard work. Leon stormed down, grabbing the protesting citizen and the soldier blocking him by the scruff of the neck. The two panicked, but Leon threw them into the flames. Craw! Craw! The screams of agony echoed horribly as it was burned alive. What? But there was someone walking out of the flames. It was a protesting citizen. What? You're okay? Then what was that scream? Hey, look! The citizen's eyes turned to the soldier who'd been thrown. A demon whose flesh had burned away, tearing at its shell and revealing its ugly true colors, was there, instead proving that the soldier was a fallen. This sacred flame burns only evil beings. Give thanks to Petos, god of war and flame, and cross the flames chanting his name. With that realization, the citizens rushed through the flames. One hesitated, but Leon approached him. Why aren't you trying to walk through the fire? What? It's because... Oh no, I'm going right now. The citizen ran, panting, and just then, a child approached Leon. He, knight, I want you to buy flowers. Before he could finish his sentence, he was kicked and sent flying. The child's body rolled across the ground again and again before bursting into flames. Your Majesty, what? Listen, you infiltrating evils. Your foul stench is too vibrant to disguise your purity. Ki, E. A miniature demon rising from the corpse of a child covered in blood, and the small demon bared its hideous teeth. A bolt from nowhere pierces the small demon's forehead. Immediately, its evil energy is absorbed by Leon's holy grail, which means it has been destroyed. Enemy defeated confirmed. Changing sniping point. A minimalist spider knight moves between the buildings surrounding the square. I will punish you. I will tear your souls apart. Leon raises his sword, and from all sides the fallen tear off their shells and reveal their true colors. There were more than 500 of them. Human bastards! How dare you speak without knowing? You think you're going to die a nice death? Timon. Themi e My ears, my ears, my ears! Only the eardrums of demons burst from the roar of the divine lion that it's activated only when a living demigod is truly enraged. The noise was indeed 300 decibels, over 100 times the threshold to be categorized as a shockwave and no longer noise. Of course, it was only for demons. Leon's teeth grinded together as an uncontrollable rage bubbled up inside him. He feels insulted by the maggots, who have been hostile to him for so long. Scum, maggots, parasitic on human emotions. The gnashing of teeth and the raspy voice are divine as the bodies of the demons near him were being disintegrated in real time. You dare to infiltrate the gaps between humans, weave your way through the ranks, and stand before me. You dare to stare at the Lionheart King, for you are not worthy. Leon shuddered, unable to control the shiver that ran through his body. Parasites walking around on two legs pretending to be humans? Forming packs, pretending to be soldiers? Do you think I will allow this? You will die, screaming in agony. Your cries and despair will echo to the heavens. Crazy asshole! I think we got the wrong one. The Fallen shuddered, sensing that something had gone terribly wrong. Scream more, for that is the only way you will please this king. The battle in the square was over in less than an hour, while Reynold Shellman and the Wisdom Gem watched from afar. Looks like planting. Fallen doesn't work, Great One. Ah, that bastard, that murderous bastard. Reynold heartily agreed with the words. The demons were easily dispatched. Coup day. Sung realized that this quest itself had a ridiculous difficulty level. With this many demons lurking inside, would they be able to deal with them, even if an A-rank raiding party came? After all, they had grown to the point where they were able to fight against a demonic army when they were only D ranks. But the demons inside the castle have been decimated, but the citizens are in shock. They were horrified that there were fallen among them, and terrified that someone next to them might be one. Most of all, they feared the demons clad in human flesh. Pull them out! Leon felt the need to dilute their fears, and as all the citizens watched, he hung one of the captured demons in the center of the square. Fear not, citizens of the Spiro Kingdom. The citizens stared at the hanging demon, but their gazes were still filled with more fear. The hanging demon basked in the fear directed at him and let out a ghastly laugh. Ha 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 ha. Don't think this is the end. You will be doomed. The powers of corruption will turn you into. Shut up, you demon. Look at this ugly beast. These depraved powers are responsible for tempting you and causing you to fear. It is their fault that you are hungry, that you are sick, that there is discord in your family, that you are unable to marry, that you have lost money, that you are unable to marry, that you have lost money gambling. Why is it my fault? Shut up, you demon. This time, the right ear was ripped out as the demon screamed and the citizens watched and questioned the appearance of such a demon. Was that asshole responsible for me losing money at the gambling house yesterday? You bastard! Why is that my fault? Shut up, you demon. Citizens striving for justice. Demons are the ones who bring bad luck to your lives, for they are responsible for every misfortune in your lives, and your lack of knowledge of the right faith is also due to their interference. Leon grasped the wood that was burning the plaza, but the blazing flames didn't scorch his skin in the slightest. You mean me? Yes, come out here. Hold it. I won't tell you twice. The young man hesitated, but remembered walking through these flames didn't hurt unless you were a demon. Having experienced it once, he grasped the burning wood. Wow! And as expected, the flames did not hurt the young man. Punish this demon with this, until this demon meets the punishment he deserves. That. Oh no! I'm saying that my father was killed by these demons too. Then unleash your wrath, for the God of War delights in righteous indignation, and you have a duty to purge this vile beast. Gulping, the young man gripped the wood and stared at the demon. His legs trembled as the demon's fierce eyes bore into him. All you have to do is touch me with that thing. I'll chase you to the ends of hell and kill you. Will you be a good boy? Open your eyes. What? The demon's teeth are knocked out by Leon's fist. His skull is crushed, his eyeballs gouged out, his ears ripped off, and his teeth knocked out. It was almost comical. Hear me, citizens. You have a right to punish this vile beast. Punish it. Make it suffer. Burn him alive. The young man beat the demon with burning wood, and the demon bound by the ancient wire was unable to resist. "Kill the demon! Kill the demon!" The cheers of the citizens terrified the demon. You madmen, the curse of corruption is upon you. Shut up, you demon." The demon tongue was ripped out of his mouth for his protest, but the demon did not know that he was the luckiest demon alive because he was beaten to death by the citizens. In the dank, damp basement of the castle, demons were imprisoned. Beltaz, the demon of pleasure and depravity, shuddered at the screams echoing from the dank dungeons. He had tortured and corrupted countless humans in his 34 years as a demon, but he never thought he would be in this position. Ugh. Why can't I get any strength in my hands? Beltaz struggled to untie the wires that bound his hands, but he could not move them. Oh. Although the minimalist size could be considered cute at first glance, Beltaz knew better, because the tiny little mechanical spider had slaughtered their kind. Yappy said, "Ha, you think I'm going to listen to a mimic?" He tried to sound amused, but the cold machine's gaze only bore into him. "No. 14. Uncooperative. Ha, kill me if you must, for I will surely resurrect. What is that?" Beltaz swallowed the question that fluttered in his throat. The water knows the answer. What? Crawl! Crawl! Beltaz screams in horror as his flesh melts away, but rising bubbles replace his screams. You bastard! I am Beltaz, the demon of pleasure and depravity, and you've done this to me. Ufu, eh? Okay. Help me. I'll tell you anything, so please, no more holy water. Only then did Yappy release his grip on the wire. But what should I say? I don't know anything. Uncooperative. Wait, I'll talk. I'll tell you whatever you want. Stop, please. Beltaz confessed everything he knew. How to corrupt humans, where, when, and how many mid-level demons were in place. Everything he knew. Prisoner, number 14. Information text, 30,564 characters. 9,104 characters short of the average text of prisoners 1 through 13, 39,667 characters. You could have divulged more information. Over. Synthesis of 32 informational texts. More than 89 similarity. Derived as reasonable truth. Yappy's report was indeed accurate and reasonable. He tortured demons to get them to say anything, and then he found the information that matches each other. He needs to kill at least 5 high-level demons before he can bring Goddess Flu down. Lord Spinner, what did you do with the demons once you had all the information? Disposed of. Held at 127 decibels for 14 seconds. Very successful. Square firing squad. Confirmed death. Peak 155 decibels. Citizens cheers. 189 decibels. Yappy played the demon's screams. Ki! Yee! Ki-iti! Hum, the sound of justice done is always sweet to hear. With that, Leon entered the bedroom. For the past 200 years, Leon has been on the trail of demons, hunting them down as they fled. He was a specialist in demon hunting. None will escape the Lionheart King's slaying. Leon lay in bed with his heart pounding. As he sniffed his pillow, he envisioned tomorrow's brutal hunt for demons. Even while this king is asleep, the demons are breathing their foul breath on the world, aren't they? Your Majesty. Heart rate spiking, dizzy spells, chest pain, difficulty breathing. Leon jerked to his feet. He couldn't get back to sleep. Lord Spinner, I cannot bear the thought of these creatures living and breathing in the same world as me. What can I do about it? That's a good idea. We should go out for the night. Leon feels no fatigue. The living demigod has infinite vitality, so he never tires, even after repeated battles. Chapter 42. The demon Lord of Wisdom is scared of the Lion King. In the plains in front of Sparrow Castle, a cacophony of depravity and pleasure raged. Men with grotesque snouts whip and beat, tear flesh into pieces, and roast it, and bathe captives in water made from molten gold. It's a grotesque scene of excess, of luxury, pleasure, and depravity turned malevolent, and it's here that Reynold Shellman enters, clutching a wisdom orb. Human. Hey, humans, humans. Ah, humans, humans, humans. The demons guessed his identity by the aura emanating from the orb of wisdom, and their fierce, feral gazes pierced Reynold. Is everything all right, Great One? Don't stare at those lowly whores for long. Mortals are quickly corrupted. Yes, yes. Reynold turned away from the scene of pleasure, unfurling the shields of his anti-magic, as he had been told to do by the wisdom gem. But no demon would allow a follower of another demon to roam in the realm of pleasure and corruption. Thump, thump, thump. Something rushed toward Reynold with a frenzied noise, but apart from the noise, a huge presence pressed down on him. How dare you bastards trespass on my pleasure grounds? Have you lost your mind? It was a grotesque giant clutching a flesh, encrusted halberd in each of his 8 arms, with tarnished golden chains at each of his 6 nipples that spoke. The crown of moonlight on his head contains a malevolence that shakes the very soul of even Reynold, an S-class mage. Do not stare at the crown. Yes, yes. Androzin, the archdemon of pleasure and corruption. As the orb of wisdom spoke to him, he twisted the corners of his hideously torn mouth and said, "Ah, ha, 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 a cunning goblin." Archdemon Androzin's scornful gaze and voice were not lost on the wisdom gem. "I'll make you an offer you can't refuse." "An offer? An offer? Ha 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 ha." Androzin laughed a despicable laugh, a broad laugh that caused demons everywhere to giggle and join in. "Know thy place, beast! Do you still think you're our equal, that you, with your lord and most of the archdemons slain, can stand before this pleasure and depravity?" Androzin remembered the ugliness of the demons of wisdom and inquiry, hunted down over 200 years. Barely a few survived, while the rest were destroyed. "You've been hunted down too, and you've been smug about it." "What?" Androzin was outraged by the words from the wisdom gem, but it was true. 180 years ago, during the Great Advent, our Lord was not the only one who was destroyed. The Lord of Pleasure was also destroyed. "You bastard!" Androzin's monstrous roar terrified the demons. He was so enraged that even the demons around him were targets of his anger. 180 years ago, the demons suffered a terrible loss, and the 5 evils united in an unprecedented event. Ruthless destruction, cruel indifference, disordered exploration, ugly lust, and devouring compulsion. These 5 vices invaded a world. The result: terrible devastation. It was a catastrophe, with 3 Lord-level demons killed and 10 million demons wiped out. Many demons do not know what happened to the Demon Gate, as it was destroyed and there are no survivors. Androzin knows only that the Lord of Pleasure died there, but not who killed him or how. What Androzin has been doing here for 100 years is the aftermath. I know what happened there. I'm survivor of it. Do you? No. Your ignorance will not allow you to understand what happened there. You are beasts of desire, driven by animal instincts. I told you I would make you an offer you could not refuse. Androzin thought he'd been lured in by the unruly desk. Bug, but there are so few demons that left that world. The world of the Holy Law users. Even those that knew were hiding it and using it to their advantage. Just like the demon lord beyond the purgatory. Speak. I, Androzin, will cast him into the bottomless pit of depravity. Kikik! Did you know I'm doing what the Supreme Archdemon told me to do? And Rosen's voice twisted sullenly at those words. "It will soon be over. Eventually, mortal, the end is near." "Good. Then let me tell you. The commander of those who murdered the Lord of Pleasure is in this world." The Orb of Wisdom gave Androzin the information he needed and left the barracks with Reynold. "Is that all?" "This is the most powerful move I can make here." Wisdom's gem was not sure of victory. Even though he was weakened, his opponent was a champion of reversals, and a mistake could easily result in Androzin being killed. 7-3. Androzin's 7, he's 3. Well, if that's the case, if I, an S-class mage, and the Great One intervene, isn't it a must-win? I'm not going? Bastard! Reynold was fed up with the Wisdom Gem behavior. Don't you dare try to intervene either. His holy law will annihilate any spirit body connected to you, even if it shatters the Holy Grail. I understand. Bystander, unconditionally hiding and cowering. Androzin may be a dumb beast compared to me, but he's not stupid, and I'm sure he'll summon his elite to deal with the Lionheart King. The demons of pleasure and corruption are the most bizarre of the malignant, but they are not the most powerful in combat. However, they are almost as numerous as the demons of lust, and a large number means a large pool. He will soon summon higher demons. This is the halls of corruption. It's where the demons of pleasure and decadence have been working for 100 years, ever since they lost their lord. Where do we go from here? They don't plan to stop here. The demons of wisdom and exploration are intelligent demons who specialize in magic. They can strengthen other demons and grant them magical powers, while the demons of pleasure and corruption are weaker in combat, with the Wisdom Gem himself buffing them. They could easily defeat the Lionheart King along with the kingdom. First, check out the corpse harvesters who are having an orgy in the forests near the royal castle. Those fresh corpse eaters are sure to be a force to be reckoned with. The corpse harvesters are vile demons who play with the corpses of their victims. They are foul, smelling demons who wear their corpse parts as decorations whenever they collect them, but they are highly effective in combat as they scour the battlefield for fresh flesh. If they were to be magically enhanced, they would be a formidable force capable of taking on even the most elite of Lionheart's second army named elites. Cough. Wait, Lionheart, this gate will be your grave. That's when he found the barracks that housed the corpse harvesters. Reynold saw a corpse harvester, a mid-level demon, walking toward them. Is that a corpse harvester? It was a horrifying creature with a tentacle as a hand while the other held a club. The subject was naked from head to toe, but dutifully concealing its nudity with a piece of a corpse. They were psychopathic berserkers, of the worst kind, so Reynold tried to speak to him cautiously. Breathe! At the same time as the whispered words, something snaps around the corpse harvester's neck, and it cries out, Gurar, or roar. With a piercing scream, the corpse harvester rises, and Reynold follows the direction he's being dragged and sees a sight he can't believe. There were spider webs everywhere in the forest. Ouch! Kill me! And the victims hanging from them, the corpse harvesters, caught in the webs, moaning in pain. Lord Spinner, did you take care of that? Yes. Reynold and the Wisdom Gem instinctively recognized the voices of the Holy Knights. Hey, did you hide properly? Did you turn on your stealth? Of course, it's a top-notch stealth spell, completely invisible to the naked eye. Anxious. The Wisdom Gem utilized its own magicka. At most, it used the magical energy it had accumulated from sacrifices to perform a perfect stealth magic. It is believed that there are still surviving individuals. The last one you captured was looking at something. After all that cleaning, it's still here. What the hell is going on here? Reynold hadn't heard any sounds until he came to this forest. Surely a sweep of that many troops in a place like this would make some noise? The Holy Knight's holy law of silence. What nonsense. blocking even the sound of a war horse's galloping. He used the holy law of silence to hunt down all the demons in the forest. Is that possible? I don't know, but these bastards did it. The Holy Knight's holy law was a treasure trove of absurdity, even among the demons of wisdom and exploration, who gathered all kinds of knowledge and magic. The Holy Knight's code could not be interpreted as anything more than absurd. That's strange. I can sense an unpleasant aura. It can't be. Wisdom Gem wanted to cry out. The magic it had just cast was a perfect stealth spell, complete with subspace dimensional separation. Even with the disadvantage of being immobilized in one place, there was no way this could be detected. I think it's around here. Leon's face flashes past Reynolds, and Reynolds stares at him through bloodshot pupils, unable to swallow his saliva. Please just go. As suspicion deepens, suspicion turns to certainty, and Reynolds knew instinctively that if Leon turned his head and looked in their direction, he would definitely notice their presence. As he watched Leon head slowly spin around, a cold sweat ran down his spine. Bam! Bam! What's going on, Lord Spinner? Target observed. Dealt with at point 4/17. Looks like we have some more hunting to do today. Hearing Yappy's report, Leon turned away. The sound of the superhuman walking through the forest faded into the distance. It was 5 minutes after their disappearance that Reynolds and the Wisdom Gem spoke up. Whoa. I almost lost it. Overnight, Leon had slaughtered more than 300 demons, and all of them were elites. He may have been running on fumes, but that didn't mean he wasn't strong. Demons of pleasure and depravity, hypersexual perverts who sought not proper sexuality, but horribly twisted lusts. Leon was disgusted when he realized that they were the demons at this gate. All demons were unpleasant, bugs to be burned, but the ugly lust demons were especially unpleasant. They corrupt humans and plunge them into a morass of pleasure and lust, by any means necessary. Some humans could not even resist the temptations of lesser demons. They are responsible for the widespread corruption of the Empire and its neighboring kingdoms. They are the weakest in combat, but the most dangerous. Leon knew all too well how the Fallen betrayed their own families. Strange, he thought. How come so many lustful demons have taken up residence at this gate? There were quite a few high-ranking demons, and several that were considered elite among the lust demons. Naturally, there should also be archdemons. If a being of that caliber is in this gate, there must be a reason. Leon wasn't going to be patient with the question. He was going to look in the most suspicious places. You must be tired, but you're not resting. A sweet voice rang in his ears, and Leon's eyes snapped open. Demon ranks. Lesser demons, low-level demons, mid-level demons, greater demons, high-level demons, arch-demons. Demon Lord, Lord of Chaos, is the title of a lord. Chapter 43, The Queen and the Knight. She was breathtaking. Not even the black clothes on her body, her stern expression, and her dress could hide her color. Greetings, Knight. May I call you Your Majesty Lionheart? She is a dangerous woman. Even the smile in her eyes and the delicate fingers covering her mouth exude a certain aura, an innate temperament, a source of strife that colors her mere presence, and a color that is a harbinger of corruption. Beautiful. At first glance, her purple eyes, reflecting the moonlight, seem to hold an endless darkness that no light can penetrate. A lesser man would have drowned in the depths of that abyss without even realizing it. I am the queen of this small kingdom, Beatrice Alighieri Sparrow, Leon Dragonia Lionheart, ruler of the Lionheart Kingdom. Leon kissed the back of the woman's hand, respectfully, but wary. How did I not notice? Is that even possible? Leon is not the kind of man to get cocky. Even if he's weakened from his prime, How could she fool his senses that kept countless assassins and demons at bay? Who? Don't be so vigilant. I just wanted to say hello to a benefactor of the kingdom. This is not a good time for a lady to visit. The moonlight was still just past dawn. It was a knight's virtue to rise early in the morning to train, but it was not a royal virtue, much less a lady's. I am being watched. Watched? Leon looked puzzled by Queen Beatrice's words. Watched. By who? The Queen smiled bitterly and named the forces holding her captive. The Great Marshal and his knights are watching me and keeping me confined. The Great Marshal? Leon remembered the Great Marshal loyalty to the Queen, and he didn't seem the sort of man to commit such disloyalty. But you never know what's in a man's heart. A loyal knight might covet a king's wife, or a pious priest might amass a fortune. Your Majesty Lionheart, I have a favor to ask of you. The Queen's hand grasped Leon's. It was a mere grasp, but it had a disturbing quality to it. I will hear and judge. I want you to kill the Grand Marshal and his knights, and if you do, I will give you everything in the kingdom. Leon did not accept the offer quickly. It was too suspicious. The Queen, not unaware of this, smiled and whispered, I want you to investigate the castle's basement, where the Grand Marshal is hiding something. It was then that footsteps were heard in the hallways, and the castle was in an uproar. It was the sound of armor and military boots. Your Majesty Lionheart, I apologize for the late hour, but I will open the door. There was no waiting. It was the Grand Marshal and his knights who burst through the door. How impolite of you to barge into a royal bedchamber in military style. I recognize the rudeness, but the situation is urgent and we have no choice. The Grand Marshal apologized and paced the room. Queen Beatrice, who had stood before Leon only moments before, was nowhere to be seen. Mum. He sensed the aura in the room and knew in his gut that the Queen was here, but he did not ask Leon if he had met her. I have met the Queen. Is that so? The Queen of your country went out for a night walk, and you don't ask. Because that's the kind of woman she is. How could the knights let royalty go out for a night stroll? Even Leon has knights and guards wherever he goes. You leave royalty alone in this time, when demons are on the loose. Demons don't invade at night. Bullshit. Since when do demons work day and night? There are hundreds of them hiding in the castle right now, disguised as humans. It's almost as if you're convinced. The Grand Marshal turned to leave without answering, but Leon's words stopped him. The Queen says you're imprisoning her. That is none of your business. Lord Burns, you'd better come clean about what you're hiding. Ricardo Burns, the Grand Marshal of the Sparrow Kingdom, turned away as if he didn't need to answer. Both the Queen and Grand Marshal. There was more to their behavior than just a defense quest against a demon army. In any case, do I need to investigate the basement to get to the bottom of this? But he wasn't ready for that now. Leon had to face an army of demons that had begun to move with the dawn. An army of demons marches as the legions of ugly lust that corrupt all things living and fill them with pleasure advance. Transgress them, cut off their heads and let them see their flesh mocked. Corrupt them, let them have an orgy in the square. Cut up the children and feed them to their parents. It will be a sight to behold. Thousands, no tens of thousands of demons marched as the air changed before the march of malice that corrupted the living in the pursuit of primary pleasures. Androzin has spoken. He will give 100 slaves to the first to cross the city walls. A naked soldier who embraced even pain as pleasure shouted as he swung his whip. He. Let us corrupt the men. Let's pickle them with pleasure so they can't think. Corrupt them with pleasure. At that moment, the demon at the head of the line stopped, eager to tie up the humans with ropes as soon as possible. But then it saw something and shuddered. What is it? Why aren't you going faster? You idiot! I'm not stuck behind you. The first row stops, and so does the second row. Row 3, row 4. Kyo. Oh, 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 oh. It was a scream. No, the scream itself is familiar to the demons. The problem is the subject of the scream. Ki-e-e. The agonized cry sounded like the despair before death, and the battlefield freezes at the grotesque and ghastly scream. Those who are more accustomed to screams than anyone else, those who generate them, turn to their screaming compatriots. At the end of their gaze, there were hunters, holding burning wood, but demons were impaled in it. What was that? Was that torture for demons? Demons are spirits, after all, and when they die, they just go back to the Garden of Evil. False lives that know no death. On the ramparts, a cavalryman shines with a brilliant radiance in the light of dawn. His golden sword glistens as if absorbing the dawn's light. Beasts like worms, driven only by primal needs. The golden sword decapitates the hanging demon. Then the knight picks up the severed head and throws it. The head rolled over 2 kilometers and landed in the middle of the demons. A black soul leaked out of the decapitated demon. The soul that should have returned to its body, now that it has lost its vessel, is sucked into the rider on the wall. It didn't take long for them to realize what this meant. The immortal demons witnessed death. They stare at the demonic butcher who has performed the impossible miracle. Listen, you filthy worms! I, Lionheart, on behalf of the 10,000 gods, will teach your evil servants the value of a single life. Come, lowly things, your terror is here. The demons who have made the material world their playground shriek in terror as the Lionheart King, the very terror of the demons, teaches them the value of life. The fear of death spreads uncontrollably among the lower demons, and even the mid-level demons. They're used to destruction, killing and terror, but only as doers. Demons are less accustomed to fear, as it is natural for them to return as spirit beings when they die. The thought of dying never crosses their minds, so when they see death, they begin to self-destruct. The Legion is broken as the immortal army crumbles at the sight of death. You fools, where are you running? Stop! Don't run! The higher-ranked demons watched their subordinates crumble with ridiculous ease and tried to stop them. But there were too few mid-level demons to hold them back. Damn the corpse harvesters! If only they were here! Where the hell did the fallen go? The mid-level demons that Leon and Yappy had hunted so thoroughly during the night were the middle commanders of the army. With them dying en masse in the middle of the night, there would be a shortage of mid-level officers to whip the lesser demons. You stupid things, get back here! Bang! Bang! A mid-level demon that was about to shout out was pierced in the torso by a javelin that flew in from somewhere, and without even a chance to scream, the demon was torn up. As he fell, gravity taking over, the last thing he saw was a lone rider charging toward him, wielding a holy sword. Glory to the Lionheart! Chasing the fleeing demons, a one-sided slaughter begins. On the 3rd day in the gate, the demon butcher began his slaughter. They slaughtered over 1,000 demons. The hunters, including Ku Dai, Sung and Kim Jin, Su, were skeptical that demons could die so easily. At the end, there was even one who killed himself. And we can't even use the holy law like His Majesty can. The demons' escape was a spectacle. Either they didn't realize they were fleeing, or they became an abomination, trampling over each other and fleeing in all directions to live on their own. All the hunters did was shoot and kill the fallen demons one by one. These bastards, Your Majesty, is this their first time seeing you? Well, maybe they didn't get the word out because they have a big army. Just then, Leon spoke behind the hunters' backs. That's not true. Your Majesty? The cruel Lionheart King, who had ordered the torture of the demons to be displayed in plain sight this morning, sneered at their behavior. They're all selfish and uncoordinated, and only care about fulfilling their own desires, not the good of the group. They calculate what they can gain from what only they know. Is that all there is to it? Well, there are some things like that. But the only demon this king killed on the first day was a troll, so there must be some things they didn't understand in the chaos of the battlefield. Coup day. Sung recalled the demons committing suicide to avoid being killed by their own hands and knew they would not rally easily. This is why you captured the demons alive. That's right. They do the cruelest things of all, and they have no tolerance for it. Scum maggots are scum maggots wherever they go, Leon added as he stomped on one of the demons the hunters had captured. Capture them well and drag them away. Their screams will make a good symphony. The hunters didn't tell him that Leon was just an ignorant demon hater who wanted to see the demons suffer as much as possible. Ah, so our Lionheart King had a deeper meaning. By the way, where did Lord Yappy go? I didn't see him during the battle. Lord Spinner is carrying out this king's orders. The hunters wondered about that, but chose not to ask. Torturing demons. Biting and killing them. The word uncooperative gives me the creeps. The captured demons shuddered. Help me, my lord. The demons did not look sympathetic. A few of the hunters, who had been slightly expecting a demon of pleasure, slapped the demon on the back of the head to relieve their disappointment. Contrary to the hunters' expectations, Yappy's destination was not the prison. Yappy had taken advantage of the distraction of the battle to sneak into the depths of Sparrow Castle. Didn't something just pass by? Didn't you see it? Circling the ceiling upside down and not making a sound above a certain decibel, Yappy easily evaded the soldiers' surveillance. The occasional sharp-eyed knight glanced his way, but his camouflage was perfect. Yappy made his way to the depths of the tunnels, where he found a group of men. General Ricardo, I know you're in kind of a battle, but what are you doing here? It was Ricardo Burns, the Kingdom Grand Marshal, and the knights who followed him. The outsiders will take care of that. The problem is the seal. I assume the seal is working well? The seal, a similar term that Yappy had heard for 1,000 years. It was the yacht spinner who had sealed the gem of wisdom, kept it hidden, and ensured that no one could breach it. Yes, but no. The soldier shook his head pointlessly as he tried to say something, but Ricardo looked past the soldier to check the seal. The cover is lifted, and the seal is revealed. Yappy's wide-angle lens captured it clearly on camera, and... What? It was a surprise even to the super-intelligent yacht spinner. Chapter 44. The Reality of the Kingdom. The first battle was a great victory. Leon, along with his hunters and kingdom troops, headed for the palace with over 100 demons in their grasp. Crack! As the ropes were tied like a bundle of fish, the demons fell. Oh, careful. Coup day. Sung was just about to pick up the demon when he saw that it had fallen and realized that the demon was a stunning beauty. What? Just a moment ago? Mr. Hunter, if you let me go. Coup day. Sung was confused by the devil's temptation. Even though he knew that the being in front of him was a demon, he stretched out his hand as if he would fall for the temptation. If he could hold such a beautiful woman once, it wouldn't be a bad idea to risk his life. Tiara of the Lion's Heart. Legion Enhanced Pollution Resistance is activated. He stretched out his hand towards the demon, but the colorful beauty's face disappeared, revealing a hideous, one-eyed monster. Ah, fuck! Startled, coup day, Sung punched the demon in the face. The demon is dumbfounded by the punch. A mere mortal can resist my temptations. This is the demon temptation. I almost fell for it. Coup day. Sung gripped his fluttering heart, wary of the demon's power. What kind of bastard is this? Leon approached on horseback from the front. His figure, mounted on stallion, blocking out the sunlight, was very authoritative. What kind of bastard has been making a ruckus? This bastard! With a quick change of demeanor, He pointed to the demon who had tempted him. Leon's gaze landed on the demon, and he spoke as if he had seen the whole picture in an instant. "How dare you seduce my soldier with your filthy body? Forgive me." Leon's military boot slammed into the demon's shin, and the demon's leg snapped with a pop. Ki-te-e-e-e. "You filthy, lowly thing, raise your voice." Leon tramples the demon, while the hunters and the other demons watching were appalled. "He's even more evil than demons. Ugh, kill him." Leon watched as the demon was trampled to death before he got back on his horse. "I don't even have enough energy." Leon felt the Grail's energy sharpen as the demon's soul was absorbed by it. As the demons self-destructed, he hunted down a number of commanders. Some of them were high-level demons, and Leon had recovered enough power. The citizens were waiting for Leon to return his captured demons. They welcomed him and his soldiers for their victory, but stared at the demons with fear. The war against demons is always like this. They seduce humans, even if they are lesser demons, and draw them into destruction and corruption. The same goes for their ugly appearance. The war against them is never ending, and only a select few are inspired by victory. In the Lionheart Kingdom, they pray to God, but the ones here have no one to turn to, so Leon raised both hands. Applaud. What? The gazes of the citizens and hunters alike are filled with questions. They've grown accustomed to Leon's erratic behavior, but that's not the point. When he stops, all the soldiers stop, and everyone is silent as all eyes are focused on him. Applause! Give glory to the god of war and flame, and sing the glory of this Lionheart. The crowd was silent for a moment, but soon someone began to clap, and it spread like a wildfire. The thunderous applause grew louder and louder, soaring to the heavens. Hang the demons, and let the citizens kill them themselves. Let them savor the sweetness of their ugly souls being extinguished. Yes, we have come in triumph, but no one has come to see us. Leon thought of the captains and knights who weren't present and had many questions, but just as he was questioning everything, he saw a red glow from the windows of the castle. It worked! Leon turned back to the castle. Upon receiving Yappy's report, Leon hurried to the castle's basement along with the hunters. Stop! This area is not authorized for access. Leon didn't wait for the soldier to stop him and kicked open the spear-barred door to the basement. The door burst open with tremendous pressure, and the soldiers had already been subdued. Your Majesty, is this okay? Chief Kim Jin. Su had never seen a gate attack like this before. In essence, gating is all about clearing quests. You just need to clear the gate according to the system message that carefully explains the closing conditions. During the quest, NPCs will also appear, so it's important to make them your allies as much as possible. But he never heard of a strategy where you just go out and turn everybody against you. Give up. It's easier if you give up. No, that's not. The hunters, who had already watched Leon's shenanigans at the Orc Gate, were convinced. Now, wait! Look at these! Ku Day. Sung, who was following in the lead, pointed in astonishment. Where the door to the basement had been smashed open, there was a huge cavity. What the hell? There's a place like this in the basement of the castle? Expecting the worst, the hunters followed Leon as he walked briskly down the hall, only to be stopped by two knights. King Lionheart, what insolence! Stay back. We can't go any further. Despite their pleas, Leon didn't stop but simply drew his sword. The king's word! Kneel! Instead, it was Yappy who took action as the steel wire of his secondary arm travelled beyond the speed of sound, capturing the knights. Their hardened swords were instantly severed before the sacred steel wire. The swords! You! Yappy quickly surrounded the knights, and Leon pulled down the covers they were guarding. Wow! Inside was a frighteningly beautiful woman, sleeping soundly. A work of art rather than a creature. No, a subject that seems to have been created by the devil. Queen of the Sparrow Kingdom, Beatrice Alighieri Sparrow. Even in her sleep, she is deadly beautiful, leading men to their doom. Alas, beautiful. Soldiers, dazzled by her inhuman beauty, turn to her, drooling. Seeing the abnormal behavior, Leon realizes they have been dazzled by an irresistible temptation. Resist. Do not be seduced by her power. Leon shouted, but the soldiers reached out to the queen, their minds unable to withstand the power even with the Lionheart aura. Should I blame them for their weakness? Leon thought and punched Chief Kim Jin, Su in the nape of the neck as he reached out. After that, the Lionheart King himself had to do the laborious work. One by one, he stunned the soldiers, showing a disappointed expression. No matter how lenient he tried to be, he couldn't help but compare them to his subjects. Him. Leon, who was stunning the soldiers, saw Coudet, Sung break out in a cold sweat, clutching his thighs in pain. Ho! Recognizing the deception, he stabbed himself to force himself to overcome it. Your Majesty, take a deep breath. Inhale through your mouth and exhale slowly. Leon sprinkled holy water on Coudet, Sung's thigh as he breathed slowly and deeply, the restorative power of the holy water regenerating his dagger wounds. Impressive. I didn't think you'd be able to resist the Queen. Grand Marshal Ricardo and his knights walked slowly toward them, surrounding them. You owe me an explanation. What explanation can I give to a man who's about to die? Coudet. Sung was confused by the cold gaze of General Ricardo. What? Is the general a fallen? That would be strange. He and his knights had also passed through the divine flames in the square that day. If they were fallen, they wouldn't be able to withstand the flames and reveal their true colors. Do you not plan to defend the kingdom? Without our help, you will not be able to withstand the invasion of the evil ones. I don't care, even without you. Leon's calm demeanor didn't falter in the face of the impending threat. Instead, he looked as cool as if he'd solved a puzzle. So, you guys, I see you're not dazzled by the Queen, are you? I'm used to it. Of course you're used to it. The Queen's powers are more of curse than a birthright. I've seen one with such power before. The Lord of Pleasure. Leon remembered the ugly demon Lord of Lust he had slain with his own hands. One who seduces all that lives. One who is born to seduce. Demonic pleasures that lead men astray. This Queen is such a creature. It was power beyond even archdemons, a power no living thing can withstand. It was a difference of spirit, and that's why countless holy knights have sacrificed themselves to defeat the demon lords. But it's strange. What? How is it that this king, who despises and loathes demons more than anyone else, senses no such aura from this queen? Leon is a demon slayer who has fought demons for hundreds of years. There's no way he wouldn't recognize a malevolent aura. Leon picks up the Holy Grail, filled with holy water, and atop the chalice was a black flower. Divinity of dreams and death, your guardian asks for your favor. A ritual that wasn't full-fledged started, but when the one doing it is a demigod, it's a different story. I will gladly answer the call of the Lionheart King. The Violet Woman smiles and reveals her spirit form. The divinity descended directly from the souls of countless demons, and its mere presence caused everything around it to freeze. Greetings, Flea, god of dreams and death. Yes, Ariana's knight, master of the Lionheart, lord of dreams, I have strengthened you as you wished. She had felt a sense of discomfort since Leon entered the gate, and to find out what it was, Fleur demanded to personally descend. With the god of dreams and death summoned, it should be a simple matter to reveal the truth of this world. The goddess declared, demons of corruption, they have been at work, performing their rituals of corruption in endless dreams. The goddess pointed her finger at the captain and the knights. All dreams must end. Show your true selves. The truth of the world is revealed, centered on a beautiful finger. The world is colored in an instant, like ink on drawing paper, and the world, or rather, the dream, is shattered. Seeing the transformation and the revealed reality, Ku De sung swallowed hard. The Grand Marshal and the Knight of the Spiro Kingdom, who were once heroes, wielding their swords against evil, showed their rotted flesh and gnarled with their bony forearms. Day, Death Knight. The undead knights who refused to die were revealed. Chapter 45. The Death Knights. The truth of the world shattered by the power of Flu, the god of dreams and death, was devastating. The seemingly living inhabitants of the gate were dead, and Grand Marshal Ricardo and his knights were Death Knights. Witnessing the truth, Leon was exhilarated. Ha! I see why I didn't notice. I see why I didn't realize. The power to create the world itself. The gate itself had been a dream. That's it. Grand Marshal Ricardo and his knights awoke to their true selves in the shattered dream, and the creepy aura of the Death Knights was no longer hidden. Do not disturb the Queen's rest. Protect the Queen! The hostility of the Death Knights is directed at Leon, and he is puzzled by it, though he takes it all in stride. You are not a fallen, soaked in malice then. Leon's sword turns to the Queen, because as the dream cleared, he felt the aura of corruption from her. The visions of this gate must have originated from her. But Leon's blade is blocked by Ricardo Burns, the blade of a Death Knight. He deflects Leon's blade away from the Queen. Eliminate hostiles. Muzzles pointed at Ricardo, but just then, a Death Knight bumps into Yappy, Lord Yappy. Yappy is pushed back by the Death Knight's charge, but he swings a steel wire with his secondary arm. Meanwhile, Ricardo's blade slashes at Leon with a fierce intensity. The warlord strikes again and again, as if he will never tire. His sword is worn with age and power, and its strength is more than a grade. Boom! Sword clashes with sword and the struggle begins. The warlord's sword pulses with power, but Leon's sword doesn't show the slightest sign of being pushed back. A fine sword, no, a sword so well honed that even though you're an undead, I do not despise it. But he was no match for Leon. Leon is the pinnacle of those who have walked the path, and Ricardo's blade is pushed further and further away until it finally digs into his shoulder. Get out of the way. General! With voices like boiling phlegm, the two knights parry Leon's sword, and Leon's face lit up with anger at their intervention. How dare you betray the honor of knighthood and interfere in a 1-1 duel? Leon saw the pride in their swords. He felt the honor of knights who walked the path, and that made him even angrier. A scribe's sword and a knight's sword must be different. Leon's words were not lost on Ricardo and the knights' swords. Honor has long since been forsaken. For the Queen. The cries were unintelligible. Were they not the ones who imprisoned her? The Queen herself had asked him to kill her knights. Wait, kill her knights. Why would she make such a request? Leon stared at the Queen lying on the bed as he passed the knights. For a queen who exuded an aura of blatant depravity and seduced creatures, she was still not an evil species. As the dream unfolded, the knights revealed their true colors, but the Queen still had vibrant skin and beautiful features, unlike the demons of lust, who are ugly. What have you done, you bastards? What have you done to the Queen? We made a deal with the demons, King Lionheart. The Sparrow Kingdom, like Leon's world, was being invaded by demons. It was Beatrice, now Queen, who led the kingdom's army against the onslaught of evil. However, she was unable to withstand the onslaught of demons, and the archdemons, and the archdemon of pleasure, and Rosin reached out to her as she stood on the brink of destruction. Queen, I admire your courage. We'll make a deal. A deal. Embody the essence of corruption, and repeat the destruction of the kingdom for 100 years. If you are not corrupted, I will spare you, and your people. Already facing destruction, the Queen of the Kingdom had no choice but to accept it, even if it was a demonic trap. The war with the demons recurred every year. At first, it was bearable. Even if you were killed by the demons, you would be resurrected the next year and fight again. But they were up against the archdemon of pleasure. They humiliated and transgressed the people, the soldiers. They corrupted them with endless pleasure and torture, breaking their minds. Even the longest-lived soldier did not last more than 3 years. What have I done? Realizing what she had done, Queen Beatrice sought a way out, but the devil's traps were cunning and insidious. There were no loopholes in the deal she had already accepted. She grew madder and madder. By day, she had to watch the demons slaughter her people, and by night the fallen whispered to her, "It's because of you. You're the reason they died." To be corrupt, embrace pleasure. The sight of her kingdom falling and the essence of corruption planted in her body constantly tempted her. After 50 years of this, when a loyal knight was finally unable to resist her temptations and infiltrated her bedchamber, Captain Ricardo Burns made a decision. The self-destruction. Self-destruction was strictly forbidden in the world of repetition. Androgen made no allowance for suicide, even when it was self-imposed or with the help of others. Those who commit suicide to evade the contract will become spirits, wandering the 9 realms forever. At the end of the 100-year deal, you will become servants of the fallen. Nevertheless, Ricardo Burns and the 37 knights chose self-destruction. Defend the queen and serve her. They knew that the oath they swore when they became knights of the realm could never be fulfilled while they were alive. The queen's charms did not work on those who had died and become death knights, and they sealed her away. Though even that seal was little more than a half-day ritual to put her to sleep. Leon sighed as he listened to Ricardo's story. Their loyalty surprised even the lion-hearted king. But that is why the queen asked this king to kill you, to prevent her knights from becoming servants of the demons. The queen knows. She knows she won't last. No, the queen will endure. 5 more years. 5 more years. She will make it through. How can a knight judge a monarch? Your loyalty is admirable, but it is not loyalty. Thou shalt not judge my loyalty. Ricardo's sword struck with all his might, but Leon parried it with one hand. Leon stretches out his arms to him, empty-handed. He reaches out with the intention of tearing his head off, but is stopped by a stabbing sword. Leon drops his arm and steps back. Behind him, 2 knights swing their swords sideways. Boom! Boom! Leon stretches his holy sword back to block and kicks out at the charging Ricardo. You think you can stop me? Even in a pincer attack? The power of this monster has been witnessed in battles against demons. A monster that has reached superhuman status with its physical abilities alone, even without the holy law. Forgive the disrespect. One of the Death Knights swung his sword wildly, a stance solely for added strength, but was too crude for a knight to use. Leon didn't miss the opening. The blade of his holy sword stabbed straight for the Death Knight's empty side, but bang! Bang! The Death Knight's shield blocked Leon's blade, and in the next moment, the Death Knight's sword swung at Leon. Leon barely manages to deflect it aside, and a strand of golden hair is cut off. He's deliberately showing me a gap to make me attack. A bold move, based on the assumption that his fellow knight would defend him. Leon could feel the trust in that solidity. The attacks continued, and just when he thought he dodged the spear, he was tackled from behind. The Death Knight throws his whole body to push Leon away, not giving him room to swing his sword, but giving his teammate a chance to attack. Leon catches Death Knight with a right hook and throws him to the ground, and as he raises his sword to deliver the decisive blow, a sharpened spear stabs him. Bang! Bang! The sound of impact rang out like a cannon blast. He barely managed to block the spear strike with my sword blade, but his trembling hands couldn't absorb the impact. Oh, strong. If it were the Lionheart Kingdom, they would be able to walk the path of the Holy Knight to uphold the honor of the goddess. Each and every one of them must have been a knight of renown. Perhaps their abilities have been diminished by becoming undead. Knights of this caliber are known for their refined swordsmanship. Becoming undead might have increased their physical strength, but it would have diminished their refinement. And yet, so capable. Excellent. Ricardo Burns looked down at Leon from his position at the head of the knights. We are the knights of the Sparrow Kingdom. Throughout the centuries, we have grown stronger and united, for the defense of the Queen alone. How can these loyal knights be called bunch of wraiths? Well done, knights. You have done more than your share of honor and pride. Leon returned his holy sword to the Grail, and in his hand, he now held a large jousting lance. Before you is the history of the 300 years' war of the Lionheart. Can you bear this weight? What nonsense! Take this weight, and I will recognize you. Leon rode on Stallion as he distanced himself from the Death Knights. Chase! But the Death Knights have also summoned ghost horses. The ghostly horses roam the land, united in death with their masters, and pursue Stallion. Fast. But the ghost horses failed to catch up to Stallion. This horse, given to him by the goddess of light and justice, is of a different bloodline. The ghost horses could only stare in disbelief as the white horse closed the distance in an instant, and the moment the distance is closed, the rider's head turns in the opposite direction. Any knight can recognize it. Charge. Coming. A cavalryman's strongest strike. Charging. Glory to the Lionheart. The horses pound the ground, and with their lances raised the knights charge in unison. 1 might and 37 knights, but in the moment of contact, the Death Knights realize their fate. Boom! Boom! The first collision sent the leading knight flying along with his ghost horse. The second clash did not diminish Stallion's momentum in the slightest as the Death Knights were sent flying. Quack! The third row of Death Knights had only grazed the god horse, but they couldn't hold on to their horses. Thwack! Ricardo raised his sword straight up even as he rolled on the ground. No. Ricardo looked around and saw that all of his fellow knights had fallen to the ground. In this moment of shock, he was the only one who managed to pull himself out of the way and withstand the impact. With a single charge, you managed to dismantle the Queen's guard. Even his hardened skin quivered at the shock, but Leon's holy spear burrowed under Ricardo's chin. Awake from your fleeting dream. The Lionheart King. Where did this monster come from? How could such a powerful being appear now? He had not yet extinguished the flame of defiance. His loyalty to repeat his queen's time and finally save her moved his body. If you can't wake up from your dream in the end, then live forever in your delusions. Foolish knight. The spear was about to strike when Leon realized at once that a horde of demons was approaching with an aura that could not be more sinister. They were already gathering their forces and marching. However, Leon could have taken care of Ricardo first, but he didn't. Rise up, soldiers of the Lionheart. How long will you remain asleep? The voice rumbled through the halls and roused the stunned soldiers.